So we do have a quorum present, so I'm calling the meeting to order. We will be convening into executive session in the first floor conference room. At the end of the executive session, I'll come out and announce work session, at which time the public will be encouraged and invited to join us. And just in case anyone is wondering about the weather, we are continuously monitoring the current conditions and have contingency plans here in the building in place. So we are safe and hope you stay safe as well. Thank you very much. Time is 6:53. We are going to move into work session. We have 3 items on the agenda. The first one is a discussion regarding agenda items. I'm going to be requesting that we pull item C from consent at the request of Councilmember Walker. I will explain out on the dais a bit, but he would like to be present for that vote, and so we are asking to postpone that until the May 12th meeting.
The 26th.
The 26th, excuse me. I had the 12th written down. So that he has requested that we postpone that to the 26th. Kevin?
Are there, from the city side, are there any negatives to postponing that to that date?
No, I mean, the Smart City Board may want us to move forward faster, but
There's no pending contract needs, or there's nothing pressing from a functionality standpoint to do that.
Okay.
Any other agenda items? I will be recusing me from the item concerning Arbor Manors again tonight, and Mayor Pro Tem will be handling that in Constance. Anything else? Okay, moving on. Ms. Leach, item B, discussion regarding the Vision 24 prioritization.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I am here this evening to share with you the results of your prioritization exercise that you completed recently. Tonight I'll be going over why this process is important. I'll go over and review the process that you went through, and then we will talk through the results. At the end, I will be seeking council direction on how you would like to proceed forward with the priorities for the upcoming fiscal year. This whole process is very important because it literally establishes the focus and the discipline for us as staff around the priorities that are most important to the council. Over time, the council has been very faithful to all of the strategic plans that we have had in place going back to 2030. And this process that we have that outlines the priorities that then staff takes and creates a work plan around, maintains focus and discipline so that we can make continuous progress around those important priorities. Since the plan was adopted in 2020, we have invested, and the council has invested, over $110 million in support of the plan. A process refresher, so we have a completely refreshed plan, so recall the process that we just went through over the past year. The key changes to that is we have combined pillars 2 and 3, so now that is just pillar 2, and the language for that pillar has combined the concepts for both of those pillars together. We have officially designated the foundation, which was just sort of an bolted on piece to the existing original plan, that has officially been designated as a pillar. And then we made a number of changes to improve the clarity. So we removed words like innovation hubs and creativity zones that really nobody knew what we were going to do with those. So we asked the council to go through a prioritization exercise. This exercise is identical to what you all conducted last year. There were 3 categories that we asked you to consider for each of the pillars and goals. And so as we go through this, the aggregate scores, the closer it is to 7, the higher emphasis the council had from a consensus standpoint to push those to the forefront in terms of capacity and resources. I will share from an operational standpoint, so the entire, let me go back one. So from an operational standpoint, we do have the 3 categories. And once we start looking at the aggregate scores, really it it boils down to we're either maintaining the level of service that we have today for pretty much every one of the goals that we've got, or those are skewing very high in terms of there is consensus that many of you rated it as a 7, and so that goal gets pushed to the top. And so there are no goals that are rated as a 1, right? And so in terms of things that are falling back, we have consistently made progress on all parts of the plans regardless of the top 10 priorities. And that's a function of the aggregate rating, which essentially has all of those goals kind of hovering around the 4. So as we walk through this, it is important to remember that all parts of that plan are being addressed by staff. It's just essentially either maintaining that level of effort that we have today, or we are pushing that forward to provide a little more emphasis. This is a summary of the prioritized goals, for the pillars. And so these are your highest ranked pillars in order. And so clearly, pillar 4 on creating economic vitality through strategic investments is your highest rated goal, followed by our sustainable government. The biggest movers for this year was the forward pillar, which was ranked 3rd last year, and then the emphasis on transportation networks, which actually was 6th rated last year. And so transportation has moved higher towards the emphasis category, and then forward has moved more towards maintaining the current level of service. If you'll recall, this rating is important because if you guys have any ties among any of the goals that you'd like to see prioritized, this can help guide those discussions around, okay, well, which pillar is this in? And then it can start aligning some of those goals if you have some ties that you'd like to either move one or the other. Okay, so this is the top 11 goals, and these were the goals that were the top rated out of all of them. So these were in your packet. Everything, there are, the first 2 were grouped, and they were your 2 top rated goals. They were almost 6.5, so they were rated at 6.25. And then you've got a cluster of 5, the next 5 or 6 goals right after that were rated at 5.875. And then everything below that is 5.5 to 5.125. I do want to point out that we do have, if you look at encourage residents to connect with one another to create a cohesive community, that is new for this year. I would like to also share that if you will notice that supporting Old Town has moved more towards maintaining our level of effort instead of emphasizing. And then to focus on neighborhood cohesiveness through resident connection and our physical home environment, that is a very important part of also what the council had indicated was important. So if we, based on the feedback that we received today from council related to those goals, so if we were to go ahead and just assume that the foundation goals, we're gonna go ahead and prioritize those no matter what. The goals that are in red are the next 3 goals that would be kind of backfilling those spaces that would be created if we were to do that. So with that, the next steps, we would be seeking your direction on which list of prioritized goals you would like us to move forward with from a work plan perspective. We will then take that plan, we will take that list and develop our work plan and then present that to you as a draft as part of your budget process.
So back up one, please.
Mhm.
Go over what the 3 red ones at the bottom meant again.
Yes, so these are the next highest rated goals if we were to eliminate the foundation goals off of the top 10 list. So we've created a little bit of capacity by just assuming that those foundation goals are going to be something we're going to do every year from a focus and emphasis standpoint.
Sorry,
Brianna?
I'm a visual person. Can you then show me on the screen, like, give me an example of what that means?
All the ones in with the parentheses 0.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I'm so sorry. So in the parentheses, that is which pillar
Yep.
is represented there.
Yep. But I'm trying to figure out these 3, right? What do they
Yes.
replace?
All of the ones that are with a zero.
With a zero, okay.
parentheses here.
But isn't that how we got where we are now, that we decided we needed to put the zeros in there so that we didn't overtask the staff with additional?
Yeah, maybe that's
Effort.
where I was.
Question?
Oh, gotcha.
The conversation around sustainable government y'all had, this is how I remember it, was around the fact that we're entering this phase and have been for the last few years of, I use the term maintenance and refreshment. And so this was a way for y'all to, okay, these are the things from a pillar standpoint that are important to us. So we're informed, but the question then was asked, if those are already, I'll call the word automatic, in play, what happens if you, while you still keep them in play, what happens if you replace those with the next set of goals, using the right terminology?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Mike kind of explained my thought process better than I would have. I felt like the sustainable government is the most important one. I think we asked the staff to include that in the pillars, and I think in the table, we all agree that we have to do it anyway. But this is also an plan that we are communicating to our citizens. So I felt like having that second version, Tracy, I think this sends a slightly better message that we are reacting toward the citizens that are asking, while taking care of the foundational stuff that have to be taken care anyway.
Mayor, can I just add to that?
Sure.
The and of that, from an awareness standpoint, as we develop the work plan, because there are dollars and cents associated with these, one of the reasons the prioritization, this goes back to, I think, y'all's conversation, if we're having to choose at our staff level of what we are presenting, from a priority standpoint, if you go to the ones with the zeros, we're going to understand that those are a higher priority than those three, right? So by not having them prioritized, we'll be in this kind of zone of, okay, well, they want us to do these things, and they're a priority, and this is a priority. So now I got multiple priorities, and you know what happens when you have multiple priorities.
And
So it's just another thing to think about in that process.
And Mike, I understand. Mayor, can I respond? Mike, I understand what you're saying. Let's take the first one, right? As a fiduciary, that we'll have adequate financial resources. Regardless of anything that we do, we are going to take care of that. So, I mean, even if we had only one more citizen-related thing that we could do, we still have to finish this before we do that. So I understand that's something that we in this room definitely focus, and there's
And at the end of the day, it's going to be y'all's choice.
and I agree with you, that's very important. However, when we communicate to the citizens and say, here is what we are going to be spending money on, I feel like the better message would be anything that impacts them in the day-to-day life. And not that the first one does not, it's kind of baked in the pie, so to speak.
Fine. Understood.
Thank you.
Don?
So I'm gonna take the opposite side of that, because I probably am in favor of continuing to highlight that pillar zero, and a little bit for the very same reason you said, when you go to the citizens and present what it is, it's a little bit like when I go to my kids and say, there is not endless Chick-fil-A, that you cannot go to Chick-fil-A forever and ever. And that's a little bit the communication to the citizens is, staff has to make choices here. I mean, we have a scarcity of personnel, resources, and money, and we have to make choices. And if we make, my concern is the more we put on the prioritization list that is not the basic, even though it ought to be basic, eventually it does fall off the radar. And I think we have quite frankly, peer cities where you see that happening, where they get focused on a bunch of other things, and the foundational stuff that you think ought to be the obvious stuff ends up falling off. So from that standpoint, I guess I continue to like to see how we're going to put resources, dollars, whatever it is, towards some of these other things and make sure we really are emphasizing those as much. So I'm in favor of continuing to show those and everything. So that's my 2 cents.
Brianna?
And I'll be quick and say ditto, I agree. I think, well, first of all, I can have Chick-fil-A every day all the
I'm
time
gonna
if I
say
want to.
my kids.
But other than that, no, I'm joking. But the, no, I agree. I think I've usually been on the camp of leaving the foundational, pillars, goals. It's a reminder of what we're built on and what makes Coppell who we are. And, I think it's been part of like our mission statement. And I think for the same reason you mentioned of, so that it doesn't get lost or fall off, even if it is part of our culture, like, it needs to be visible.
Thank you, Mayor. Tracy, question for you. When did we add this pillar 0? 2 years ago?
No, during the refresh is when it was officially designated as a pillar. So this year,
This year,
as
right?
part of the refresh process.
Okay, I remember during that session, you mentioned that we are adding 0. Can you repeat what you said at that time? Yeah,
Sure.
please.
So the items that are, the goals that are included in what we have been calling the foundation, we as staff, that was not part of the community engagement process and feedback that was part of the original engagement for the development of the 2040 plan. From the staff perspective, everything that we do needs to tie into the strategic plan. Those were pillars, they were a goal in the 2030 plan. So we kind of carried those over as the foundation, because none of the other things in the plan can happen unless we have quality infrastructure, unless we have quality employees, unless we are a strong fiduciary. So all of those goals, we carried those over from 2030, but they weren't an official part of the plan itself as part of a pillar, because that was not something that none of those things were front of mind for the community when we went through that process in 2018 and 2019. So all of those things, a testament to the efforts that the council made, okay, they believed the infrastructure was good. It wasn't something that the community was focused on that we needed to be really looking at. But for the internal components of all of the things that we do that are foundational, that's where that kind of foundation came from, but it was always kind of an awkward bolt on to the actual plan itself. And so now it is official that it is part of and is designated as an official pillar of the plan. And so that is why it's included here. I did hear y'all's conversation from last year, but that's why I've included it again this year, is because it is now a part of the official plan and it is a regular part of the pillars.
Yeah, thank you for the refresh. That's
Sure.
what I thought that you mentioned last time. So coming back to the first point, the fiduciary responsibility, the
Yes.
taxpayers' money that we are spending.
Yes.
There was a point that we made, we will look into all the money that we spend, all the line items that we go through on the budget cycle that we do. The question was, we all scored what, 6.25 on that. When you see that 6.25 graded by all of us, what does that mean to you? What's the takeaway for you?
But that is a very important value for this council. And what I can share with you is our current work plan. And so, as an example, these are the items that we included for our current work plan related to supporting that one. Well, let me make sure, because I don't know if that was, yes, so fiduciary. So, from that perspective, so for the staff, that is more than just going through the budget process. And so we are exploring things like maximizing revenue, so that is exploring balance billing for non-residents for ambulance transports.
Okay.
That is reviewing our fees to make sure that if there are adjustments that should be recommended, we know what those are. We are researching research integrating performance management into financial sustainability. And then utilizing investment management services to increase our ROI. So we brought that contract to the council several months ago. So that's how that goal that gets translated then into actual tangible work products that then we are working on as staff through the current fiscal year.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. Tracy, please remind me, when we went through the vision refresh, the outside consultant that we brought in, she spoke with a whole lot of people in Coppell.
Yes.
During that interview, did she include Pillar Zero? Did she talk to the residents about this?
I do not recall that she was highlighting that specifically. I know that was a important part of when she interviewed the staff around, like, we are awkwardly just attached to the plan, and so it would be very helpful if we were now officially integrated into what is the work plan.
Thank you for that, Tracy. Mayor, if I could just add one more thing. Don and Brianna, completely respect your point of view. My little bit of a concern is all other pillars were something that were citizen feedback. This one, I don't, as important as it is the most important one. But if we are talking about citizen-driven pillars, then I don't see how this fits in. This is important, but this is not citizen-driven. That was my point. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, just
Yes.
quick. And I hear you, thank you. I see these as I'm reading through them again and continuing to remind myself of it is, I don't think it comes up as feedback because people don't see a gap. It's an expectation of what they want by living in Coppell. And so that's why I want to be mindful of feedback versus what we offer as a status quo to maintain and or improve the services that make Coppell a reason for people to not only move here but stay here. And I don't want to lose sight of that. But that's just me.
I think part of the issue is that it's a misnomer. It should not be called Pillar Zero. It should be called Foundation.
Yes.
Because that's what it's built upon. Pillars are, as you say, input that we've gotten from the citizens. So, I mean, they're two different components. So, I mean, I think they can still exist simultaneously. It's just, they've got to be kind of categorized different. It's foundation, it's pillars. I mean, of course, I'm an architect.
I was going to say, I thought you were going with a structural, like you're going to build on the foundation.
Yeah. So,
Don?
I think I was just gonna reiterate, you're right, they don't identify them, a little bit what Brianna said, they don't identify them until the alleys aren't redone, and until garbage only gets picked up once a week, and, I mean, that's my concern is, there's creep over time. And I'll reiterate, the fact is, if we have, I'm making up numbers, I don't even know what they would be, let's say we have $10 million that we're gonna spend on different projects this year, I want to emphasize, well, some of those may go to some of this basic stuff because that is important to make sure panels have been replaced on Denton Tap or whatever. So that was part of it, even if it didn't address some of these other pillars, is because there's a scarcity of resources and that we don't have, or we don't have enough staff to go do everything that we want to because we have assigned staff to make sure that compliance is done correctly and things like that. So it's giving more of the same picture. Giving more of a full picture. So.
Back to you.
You need direction, don't you?
Yeah, so at this point, I would be seeking direction on which list you would like us to consider moving forward with.
So to Mark's point, is there a way for us to keep it on there, not call it a pillar, but it's just our core values? I don't know.
I think we have to get a consultant.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry.
So if we were to do that, do you all envision those goals then being pulled from the prioritization exercise. I guess at a practical level,
Yeah.
we can name it whatever the council would like us to name it. I think part of then the next question is then how would that integrate into the process that you guys have walked through?
Yeah, good point. Mark? Sorry, wait.
Kevin, did you have something to add to that?
I did, well, I mean, we just went through this exercise where we turned it into a pillar, so I think putting it back into a foundation is kind of just going back on what we did before. With that being said, though, I know in the past we have talked about, Trey, would you go back to, I apologize if you made me jump around on that. But like, we've had discussion in the past about some of these things cost the city
Nothing.
very little to no money to work towards its goals, and some are high dollar, high ticket items. So, and just so to make sure I understand, so we're being asked if we want to include the red thing?
Correct, if you
Okay.
like this list, which is literally just the top 11 items irrespective of pillar, or this list, which pulls all of the foundation pillar 0 out of there.
This will be 11 plus 3. I would call this 11 plus 3.
So to be clear, if we're asking for direction, I would like to move forward with this list, including the red, because it automatically includes the things that we would already be doing, that foundational stuff, and then, and here's the thing, it's dictated by the budget. If we have a lot of high dollar ticket items that we need to get done on that, then we do our best to do that. I would say include them all. Those are my thoughts.
Wait,
Include them all or include them as they're
Which
written
way?
here?
All of these.
so it includes the first and second?
He wants to
The
do
first line and
11
second?
plus 3. Yeah.
This is 11 plus 3.
Clarity is kindness, this is the
What is
reason
it?
I'm asking the question.
So this is the 11 plus 3 slide. The previous slide is just 11. So,
So the way I understood it, this would include the items written up here, plus the items that were
Oh.
P0 on the previous
Yes.
page.
I
So-
now get you. So if you look at the first slide, it includes the zeros. The second slide does not. So
it assumes, the second slide assumes we're going to do the zeros anyway.
That's what the second.
okay, because I'm like what you're saying doesn't exist up there. That's what I'm saying. It does if you combine. In other words, there's no slide that has 11 plus 3. Yeah, I hear you.
So my understanding of this slide is 11 plus 3 because we have to do, the foundation of pillar 0 anyway.
No, because there's no 0 goals, and we're saying we want the 0 goals.
Uh,
So I'm saying,
They're expectations.
and I hear you, but he's saying we just built a pillar for it.
We did.
So
That was-
we're either gonna call it a foundation or we're gonna call it a pillar.
Foundation.
So
And I hear you.
so Tracy, is it possible to
Foundation
introduce
pillar.
a third option, which is the 11 plus 3, and then see what people want to say?
Well, so, at least what I'm hearing is there's a few of you who like this list, assuming that then all of the items from pillar 0 are included as part of as a priority.
Yes.
And so that's what this slide can represent, instead of introducing a third slide. So
Yes.
if this is where I think you two are on, I like this list, assuming that pillar 0 is also a priority, even though they're not up there. We're assuming that pillar 0 is a high priority.
Write the pillar 0 things on this list and let's go with it.
Just take that bottom part out of it. I hear you. I'm fine either way,
Did
as long as
did we
don't-
just now, haven't we just expanded the list to a list of 14 instead of 10? I mean, that's all we've done, right? Because, I mean,
Yes, now we're at 14.
it's
11
just
to 13,
11, 12,
14.
13, 14,
Right.
right? So in 10, I'm assuming there's nothing magic about 10, it's just,
10 was y'all's number.
okay. So,
It was a way.
so are we just saying we
provide
want a top
focus.
14 list? I mean, is that ultimately what we're getting at?
That's what you're
That's what
debating.
2 of them is.
Which is half the list, is that, I mean, there's 28, is that right? Which I guess I'm fine with I mean, cause I guess if we had a bunch of extra resources or money or time or whatever, we would just go to the next ones. Isn't that what staff would do anyway?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, then that
We're
actually
trying-
might be helpful.
I mean, the idea of this is to prioritize, and you did.
And just focus on,
Y'all prioritized. You came up with that first list and said that's the priority. We got asked the question, if you don't include your priorities, what would be the next ones that would be slid in? That's what these three are.
well,
right?
if that's the case, if staff's gonna look at it that way, then I do want the original list of 10, because I want the foundational ones in there.
Okay.
Right, and
Me
if you
too.
expand it, that's okay.
Yes,
It's your, I mean, we're gonna develop a work plan, and you're gonna eventually say, this is what's in the work plan. You're just giving us the guidance, whether it had 10, 11, or 14.
Right.
So
It's-
we can take this list of 11 and add those red ones
To a prioritization of 14.
to a total number of 14.
And that gives you Ramesh's 11 plus 3.
But were there something specific about those three?
No,
Okay.
They're just-
You
So
just-
they're the
ones
next
on the
highest rated
prioritization.
three.
You just didn't like the zeros.
I was thinking about the top 10 from a citizen standpoint. And
Well, I would contend the foundational ones are from the citizens, they just don't, maybe not,
So-
I mean, they may not recognize it as such, but.
So hold on, so in all fairness, I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, 11 plus 3, I know, and y'all think we're crazy, and I don't blame you. But then, if that's the case, and we're calling it the foundation, then all 4 of 0 should be in there.
They are.
it is,
They will be.
They are.
Okay.
They're included
They are on
in
the
your top
original
11.
list.
Oh, I see them now, 1,
Right.
2, 3, 4, okay, perfect.
Based
Then I'm
on-
good with 11 plus 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a
Is
consensus
everybody,
math?
is everybody good with the 11
I had only
plus
seen the
3?
top ones, I hadn't seen the other ones, so
Right.
thank you.
Got one there,
Yes.
got one there.
Is that gonna
Don?
strain?
It is
Yeah,
a lot.
I mean, I'm fine, I guess, is that gonna
I
strain
have a
the
question.
staff?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, a crazy question. So last year, since we didn't include pillar 0, you wanna go?
I don't know, is that me?
Oh, is that me?
Sorry.
No, they hung up.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, so since we didn't include the pillar 0 last year, we are adding them this year, correct?
They are, yes, they are added this year because it was an official part of the plan.
That's, okay,
That's why I added them this year.
okay, that's how we get to 14. Okay, so I support that.
So we had, yeah, part of that discussion last year was, well, do you want us to fund the foundation or not? And the answer was, well, of course you have to.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it just kind
Yes.
of rolled into it.
Yes.
Okay, 11 plus 3.
Thank you.
All right.
that was fun, thank you.
Just doing my
We've
favorite.
got about 5 minutes to go.
Where's Josh? Where's Josh? I just wanna ask
There he
a
is.
question. Josh, I know that the smart board is doing their presentation. Can you, Bob, is it okay if he does the AI part as part of the smart board, since it's all somewhat related?
Yeah, I don't care as long as it's on the agenda.
Well, it's on the agenda as a work session item, but to just do it as part of the presentation out front?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, because that way we get it done tonight, Josh.
Can
It ties together with what they're talking about.
So, Mayor, if you'll note that the last item on the work session will be done at the same time as the presentation.
Actually, the third one, but yes, I got you. All right, so,
Does that mean that we can have discussion out there?
yeah,
You could have it back
Which
here,
are-
so
Okay,
you're not making a decision.
we're just moving.
well, Mark, when staff does a presentation, you're always open to questions.
So then the question is, are we delaying one Coppell to May 12th?
Um,
Because I don't have any idea how long these two public hearings are going to go.
yeah, I think we better delay that item D till the May 12th.
That's
What was
what I
that
think.
item D?
All right, so we will hear item C during regular
Thank
session.
you, I don't have my agenda in
And
front of me.
we're gonna defer item D to May 12th.
Thank you.
All right, the time is 7:26. We are at the end and adjourned from work session. We'll move into the council chambers at 7:30. Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have recessed from work session at 7:28. The time is 7:33. We're going to enter into the regular session of the Coppell City Council. Just as a reminder, any persons wishing to speak during the citizens' appearance of the public hearings must sign the appropriate registers that were located outside the council chambers and list your address. There is an opportunity to speak for the citizens' appearance as well as the public hearings. This evening, we're blessed to have ministry leader Steve Allen of the First United Methodist Church here to give the invocation, and then we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance, so please remain standing. Mr. Allen.
Let's pray. Yes. Dear God, we just want to thank you for this beautiful day that to serve others. We want to thank you for the people who make our community strong and vibrant. Our first responders, our police officers, our firefighters, educators, city staff, volunteers, and all who work each day for the good of Coppell. We're specifically grateful for the men and women gathered here tonight who are serving you publicly. We ask that you give them wisdom and guidance, and humility, and that heart for service as they continue to work for this community. We thank you for all that you do in each of our lives. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Just as a note, we have been and are continuing to keep an eye on the weather. At this point, there is no cause for concern. We do have emergency plans for the facility, and you will be notified should something happen. At this point, we believe all the weather has passed, but this is Texas, and we have Texas weather, so stay tuned. Item number 6 are proclamations, and in keeping with the weather, the Coppell High School cheer group will be deferred until May 12th. So item B is a proclamation designating the month of April as Volunteer Month in the city of Coppell. So I'd like to ask all the volunteers that are with us tonight to please come forward. Hi there, how are you? Now you guys realize that we are going to have a picture done later, so you're going to have to get a little closer together than that. All right, all right. Whereas the entire community can inspire, equip, and mobilize people to take action that changes the world, and whereas volunteers can connect with local community service opportunities through hundreds of community service organizations, and whereas individuals and communities are at the center of social change, discovering their power to make a difference, and whereas experience teaches us that government by itself cannot solve all of our social problems, and whereas National Volunteer Month was established in 1991 and has grown exponentially each year, and whereas during this month, all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers recognized for the commitment to service, and whereas our city's volunteer force is a great treasure and is vital to the city of Coppell's future as a caring and productive community. Now therefore, I, Wes Mays, Mayor of the city of Coppell, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Volunteer Month in the city of Coppell, Texas, and all citizens to volunteer, inspiring, recognizing, and encouraging people to see out imaginative ways to engage in our community. In witness thereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Coppell to be affixed this 28th day of April, 2026. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I must say I see some neighbors helping neighbors shirts there, and that was our most recent one. Is there a spokesman for the group that had anything to say, or just an outspoken person that has anything to say? All right. Oh, Wendell.
It was a great day. It was a beautiful day, and we just enjoyed a fellowship that we had with each other, and the progress that we made for those who needed our help. And our particular group, we spread 80 bags of mulch, and we had 7 or 8 Boy Scouts with us. So it was a great day. We were all grateful.
Thank you very much. I was going to add that into my public service announcements at the end, but Neighbors Helping Neighbors had over 250 volunteers on Saturday, volunteer to help over 54 households around the city. So it was a great day. So Councilmember Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for your time and your commitment and all that you do for our community. I know that with the number of volunteers, not everyone can be here, but I know I recognize a lot of faces from the different opportunities that we've had around the community. And while we were in work session, we were talking about what makes Coppell special and what's at the foundation of our community. And it really, truly is our volunteers. And so even when we have, boards and commissions and committees, and we have more people than spots that we can fill, that's a good problem to have. And there's always opportunities and always people raising their hands, and we could not do what we do or be the place that we live if it were not for our volunteers. So thank you all for the numerous hours, days, time, commitments, just everything that you've done to make this a special place.
Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Hinojosa Smith kind of stole my thunder. She said everything I was going to say. But thank you all for everything that you do. You're the reason why Coppell is such a wonderful place to live. I do have a small ask. Try to convince a neighbor who's not doing as much and drag them along the next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Hey, sir.
On behalf of the Coppell Arts Center, I would like to say how grateful we are to have such a wonderful place to volunteer and build a true sense of community. And I must acknowledge Emma McKenzie. It's my privilege to acknowledge her. She's our top volunteer coordinator with the staff there and keeps a lot of us. It's a very complicated job because there's so many of us now. We've grown exponentially. And thanks to her and others there, it's made it. And I think we've won, how many years in a row, Emma, we've won the volunteer, what's our award called? Best of DFW places to volunteer, Coppell Arts Center. A lot of that's thanks to Emma McKenzie right there. And a wonderful place. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. So item number 7 is a presentation by the Smart City Board. They're going to be making some recommendations to it. We were going to have the presentation and discussion on artificial intelligence at the same time. However, the presenter is asked to defer that to May 12th, so we'll be hearing that later. So we do have a presentation by the Smart City Board.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilman, city staff. My name is Deepak. I'm the chair of the Smart City Board. And here, we are here to give the recommendations on smart water technology. Pass it on to Lucia here.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Lucia Rushton. I'm a resident here in Coppell and a member of the Smart City Board. This is my second term.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. My name is Michael Cash, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Smart City Board. As Deepak mentioned, today we will be presenting to you 3 recommendations in regards to smart water management. If we could start the presentation. So as you can see, we have a PowerPoint presentation in front of you, and what that usually means is the presenter is going to come up here, is probably going to go over, probably going to waste all their time, and you don't get to your Q&A. However, we're in the Smart City Board. We decided to do things a little bit differently. So we took our presentation and we put it through AI. We condensed this presentation down to a 6-minute video, so we're going to make sure we don't go over time. We're going to put this presentation to you. Hopefully the technology works for us. After this, we're going to bring up a statistics slide that leaves everything on the board for you with the highlights. Then we'll get to your Q&A. So hopefully this is going to run smoothly for you, and our technology is going to be at work. If I happen to forget at the end, I do want to make sure I go ahead and thank Josh and Rhonda for all of the great support that they've given us in the Smart City Board. In case I forget, I will do it again at the end if I do remember. So with that, I'm going to hope technology works, and I'm going to press go on this. Here we're going.
But sometimes, getting smarter is about taking a fresh look at our most basic resources. Today, we're going to break down a really cool proposal from the city of Coppell that does exactly that. And it's all about something we can't live without: water. Okay, so before we get to all the cool, futuristic solutions, we've got to wrap our heads around the scale of the problem. See, water waste is this massive and often invisible issue. It costs us billions and puts a serious strain on the systems we all rely on. And let's put a number on that because it is just staggering. Every single day here in the US, we waste nearly 8 billion gallons of water, with a B. So where's it all going? Well, you might be surprised. Most of it is going right onto our lawns. Experts figure about half the water we use for landscaping is just gone, wasted, thanks to inefficient systems. That is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? It's one thing to talk about this huge national problem, but how does a single city actually start to fix it on the ground? Well, Coppell's Smart City Board has come up with 3 really interesting tech-forward answers. Let's break them down. So the first solution starts exactly where the biggest waste happens, literally in our own backyards. This is all about completely changing how we water our lawns, ditching the old, outdated methods, and really embracing some new technology. And this slide really gets to the heart of it. It's about moving from just pure guesswork to using actual data. The old way, right, it's just a simple timer. It runs at 4 a.m., whether it's just rained or it's been 100 degrees for a week. The smart way, though, uses real-time information to water only when it's truly needed. So how does it actually do that? Well, it's all about these little sensors. You've got sensors in the ground checking soil moisture, it's pulling local weather data, and all of that feeds into a smart controller. The whole system works together, kind of like a brain for your sprinklers. It's smart enough to know, hey, we got a thunderstorm last night, let's skip watering today. And the impact from this one change is huge. By just switching from that old school clock timer to a new smart controller, a single family home can save up to 15,000 gallons of water a year. 15,000. Now just think about that scaled up across an entire city. And the benefits here, they just keep stacking up. For you, the resident, it means a lower water bill. Simple as that. For your lawn, it actually means healthier plants because they're not being drowned all the time. And for the city, it means less strain on the whole water system, which helps keep costs down for everybody. So how do you get homeowners to make the switch? Well, you make it easier. The city is proposing a rebate program. Basically, they could give a household up to $150 back for installing a smart controller and sensors. It's a really smart way to help people get over that initial cost and get this tech into more homes faster. Okay, let's move on to solution number 2. And this one sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. We're going from our own backyards all the way up to outer space to find water leaks that are hidden deep underground. No, seriously, get this. The technology they're proposing to use was originally developed by scientists trying to find water on Mars. Yeah, Mars. Now we're using that same incredible tech to solve problems right here on Earth. It's amazing. So how in the world does it work? Okay, so a satellite uses this very specialized radar to scan the entire city from orbit. This radar can actually penetrate up to 12 feet underground, and it's looking for the very specific moisture signature of treated drinking water. It can pinpoint leaks in the city's main water lines that would be totally invisible otherwise. And this isn't just some theory, okay? It's already working. Just look at the neighboring city of Garland, Texas. They used this exact technology and boom, they found 186 hidden leaks. In just 1 year, that saved over 232 million gallons of water. And the financial side of that for Garland was just as impressive. We're talking nearly $700,000 in annual savings. When you see numbers like that, the investment in this kind of high-tech solution starts to look like a complete no-brainer.
All right, let's talk about the third and final proposal. This one brings the focus back to the homeowner, but in a totally different way. This solution is all about capturing a free, natural resource that literally falls out of the sky and putting it to good use.
You know, this is really all about a shift in mindset. The old way, we see heavy rain as a problem, right? It creates all this stormwater runoff. It can cause flooding. It's a headache. But the smart way flips that script entirely and sees that same rain as a really valuable resource just waiting to be captured. And look, it doesn't have to be some super complicated system. It can be as simple as a rain barrel that you connect to your downspout. That water you collect is absolutely perfect for your gardens and your landscaping, and it means you don't have to use treated city water for those things. Let's talk about the potential here for a second, because it's wild. In Coppell, a pretty typical house, say 2,000 square feet of roof, can capture over 40,000 gallons of rainwater in an average year. That is a huge untapped resource sitting on top of every single roof in the city. And the benefits are just all over the place. I mean, it lowers water bills, of course. It helps decrease localized flooding by keeping water out of the storm drains. It gives you naturally soft chemical-free water that your plants will absolutely love. And it helps build a more resilient, self-sufficient community. It's a win-win-win. So we've looked at 3 pretty different ideas, right? We've got smart sprinklers, leak-finding satellites, and rooftop water capture. But these aren't just 3 separate random proposals. They actually form one single cohesive strategy for a much more sustainable water future. So just to quickly recap what we've covered, we have 3 key initiatives here. The Smart Irrigation Rebate Program, that's satellite-based leak detection, and a new pilot program for rainwater harvesting. And what's really clever is how each one of these targets a different area. Smart irrigation is all about empowering residents to save water and save money. The satellite detection makes the city's own infrastructure way more efficient. And rainwater harvesting, that builds long-term community resilience. See, each one tackles the problem from a different and totally vital angle. It's a really fascinating, multi-pronged approach to a complex problem. And it kind of leaves us with one final important question to think about. How is your community thinking about its water? Are we just fixing today's problems as they pop up? Or are we really building a smarter, more resilient future for tomorrow?
Okay, thank you. I don't think I could have ever done this as well as AI could have. We have fortunately done the research behind this. So the PowerPoint is attached to this, so all of the data points that you've seen in there are on this. And as we bring up the Q&A for each of you, I do want to leave the major data points on here, and we can go through the PowerPoint presentation to bring up any of that. But as the summary brought up, the key items that we want to bring up, and please forgive the wording discrepancy. I used the word proposal instead of a recommendation on the slides a few times. But as we were looking at the recommendations, the first being the Smart Irrigation Rebate Program, that we are recommending up to $150 per household, which is very much in alignment with our neighboring cities. And the benefits are a potential savings of water of up to 15,000 gallons per household. The second is a satellite-based leak detection, which when we're looking at our close by neighboring cities, both Arlington and Garland have taken advantage of this. Garland has the most, I'll say, published information, which we've seen on there, and I can bring up the slide to show more in depth of the information. Arlington has much more limited public information about what they've released, but they have published that they have saved $440,000. They have not published the amount of water that has been saved. The last one we have is the rainwater harvesting pilot. We have noted that obviously up to 40,000 gallons could be saved in Texas, in Coppell. We do acknowledge, and we've met with members of the city to recognize that rain doesn't always fall when you need it, right? So we don't want this to be misleading in saying that we can capture this and use it whenever we need it. Rain is seasonal. It's going to go away, right? So this is not meant to say that this will solve all of our water problems, but it will be there when we need it. And the more that we can capture it and use it on demand, there are still opportunities. But we are not here to say that you're going to be able to capture rain in the spring and use it in the summer. So I hope that this isn't coming off as some magical solution to capturing that. There are solutions that could come later as far as like creating cisterns, but these are obviously much greater in the future. But I would like to open this up to the council if you would like deeper information on anything, if you would like to see slides, greater information.
We have quite a number of questions. First one I saw was Councilmember Neville's, and then Councilmember Prim Kumar and Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. That was very fun, using an AI video there. First thing I want to say is I am 100% in support of your proposal number one about a rebate program. I think that that's a fantastic idea. I love the idea of the program. I have smart sprinkler controllers at my home. I installed one at my mother's home, at my commercial property. So a big proponent of that. So I would love to learn a little bit more about how that program would be developed and how to recommend. You guys are recommending maybe implementation. I understand that would take coordination with other city staff and things like that. But just love that proposal, number one. Number three, I kind of questioning kind of revolves around. What would that look like? Would this just be, a pilot program, 100 households? I'm reading that right here. So is that something like the city would provide? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Like 100, barrel systems and stuff, and then recommendations on how to use it, or what does that look like to you guys?
So rainwater harvesting, the data points about saving 40,000 gallons is real. We've done the math on that. How we want to implement it is we can do it at a residential level, and we can encourage residents to have their own cisterns or underground, collection tanks and stuff. And we can incentivize or lower, have some sort of a rebate program for that as well, one. Two, HOAs. We've got about 86 HOAs in Coppell. We can encourage and support the HOAs in doing that too, because there's a lot of rainwater on their common areas. So that's what we're thinking about. Phase one could be residential, two could be HOAs.
Excellent.
So I've brought it up on the slide for you, Councilman Neville's. What our initial recommendation would be, looking at, as Deepak said, looking at a pilot, starting small with residential, potentially 100 households, and looking at maybe subsidizing a few barrels. But phase two, looking to scale that out based on the success of phase one.
All right, excellent. And is the proposal built around rain barrels, or actually going underground? Or is it a combination of all of those?
It could be a combination,
Okay.
depending on the square feet and what the resident would like to do. We'll have to take into consideration the winter and how to make the water not polluted and with the mosquitoes and everything. So the solutioning, we need to partner with an expert to see how we can implement it.
Excellent. Thank y'all so much for answering some of my questions, and very fun, innovative presentation. So appreciate the hard work that y'all put into that. Thank you.
Councilmember Prim Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. So do I direct my questions to Claude, or who's going to answer my questions? That was a phenomenal presentation. True to your smart city moniker, you hit it out of the park. Kanishka, Deepak, and I remember we used to sweat on each punctuation and each word. I don't know how you guys managed to do this with AI, but kudos to what you have done. I love all three ideas. I think what I really love is they're practical. They can be implemented immediately, and it's a dire need for our city because we are actually hitting on the ceiling of how much water we can buy from Dallas city before we go into a different higher tier pricing. So I love all of that. I'm assuming that in your material, you somehow have an overall cost estimate for the city. If you have, please pass it on to Josh, and we would like to look at the cost. At the end of the day, this is going to be a line item that is going to hit the city's expenses, and it'd be good to see the ROI on that. Thanks for a great presentation. Good job.
Thank you.
Councilmember Matthew?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank you for serving on the Smart City Board. We appreciate your time and effort putting into this presentation. I like the presentation as well. The video is fabulously done. My question for you is, satellite image that Arlington or Garland, or which one of the city did it? Which one?
Garland.
Garland. They found 690 leaks.
I will bring up the data points.
Yeah,
on here.
okay.
So both cities had performed it. Garland has the most available data. So we'll show on here that they found 186 total leaks.
Okay.
The leaks, there are quantification, or there are qualifiers for what was determined to be a leak as far as like quantity, size, everything for that. But the total number was 186 that were found with a total of 232 million gallons of water for
Okay.
a total of 696.
All right, thank you for that. Is that residential, or is that commercial, or is that city infrastructure, or combined?
These are for larger water mains.
Okay.
So with the satellite technology, what this is looking for is treated, so specifically chlorinated water. So treated water in the soil. So it penetrates through the soil and looks for that. So it's only going to capture when it's a larger volume. So it's going to look for water main leaks.
Okay, thank you. I like three other recommendations, like Councilmember Prem Kumar mentioned. We have to go through the budget cycle to accommodate the needs of implementing this solution. Thank you again.
Thank you.
So I had a couple of questions. Seeing none other up here, what was the cost of the survey by satellite for the cities? Did they divulge that?
Mayor Mays, I don't believe anyone wants to admit to how much money they've spent on this, quite frankly. We do bring this to the council because as we're looking towards 2040, we do believe this is a technology that will become more available. Yeah. Right now, there are only two major competitors in the world that are doing this. So as we're looking at this, if we were to note that this is a problem, that we're seeing more of this, it could be leveraged now. But realistically, looking towards 2040, is this a technology that we want to look as it's becoming more available? There are more competitors that are coming into the market, but right now, most places are tight-lipped. They only want to talk about the savings. Yeah.
I can imagine. The other one, I actually have a smart controller, but it doesn't have the Smart Sense brand or name on it. Can you name some of the commercially available Smart Sense controllers that would be approved?
The main names out there for residential are Ratio, which is actually purchased by Rainbird, so they're under the same umbrella. But Rainbird also sells residential. They are more common in the commercial space, or the larger residential if you have multiple controllers. Those are the two main competitors. I do have a few on here just to give you the Orbitz and Hunter are the other main competitors in the field.
So you just hit the big four. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? Oh, we've got more coming up. Councilmember Nevels.
I just wanted to say that, in the past, some of the presentations from the Smart City Board have seen, there's been a much bigger focus on the future and on 2040. I just want to comment that I really like this balance that you guys have struck with some actionable things that we could do now that will affect the future. And so we're looking ahead at future technologies and things like that, but what can we do today and now? So I just want to say I really, really appreciate the balance. And
I would love to see more recommendations with that type of balance in the future. So I just want to say, great job on that, and thank you so much for all your hard work. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, so very much appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, I'm very jealous of the positive reaction you guys are getting compared to when I was on the other side. That said, the moisture sensor that you guys have there, how, and you don't have to answer now, if you have to research and answer later, that's okay. I want to make sure that if you're going to recommend anything to our residents, that it's not going to be based on a Wi-Fi technology that is hackable. So we have to be worried about the security as well. So do let us know how those sensors communicate with the controller, and let's make sure there's no potential for hacking.
And Councilmember, there are several options, exactly to your point. Several of these options are sensors that plug directly in and physically monitor soil moisture. They measure rainfall. You may have even seen some old school that will actually capture rain and see is there moisture inside of there. So there are several that use physical sensors rather than Wi-Fi. So at the discretion of the user, there can be adaptations, to your point.
And if I may, again, to Council Member Kevin's earlier question, the two-prong approach here would be the HOAs and the residentials. Because HOAs have a lot of common areas and a lot of irrigation there, which goes unmonitored and wastage. So this could be a two-prong approach there.
So thank you very much. Good job tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. And again, we would like to thank Josh and Rhonda.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is our citizens' appearance. Persons wishing to speak must sign the register and list your address. Presentations by individuals shall be limited to 3 minutes each, during which time speakers must remain at the podium, face forward, and address only the mayor and the city council. Persons signed up to speak will be called in the order that they signed up. I'm going to cut this short without reading the rest of it because we had nobody signed up to speak tonight for the citizens' appearance. So we will move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is routine in nature and is generally enacted in a single motion. These items have been previously approved through the budget or past council actions. Any item may be pulled and considered separately. Full descriptions are available on the screen. We did have one request from Councilmember Jim Walker, who is unable to be with us tonight. He did request that we pull item C from the consent agenda and consider it separately with a couple of caveats, and I'll get into those when we get to that. So we will be considering A, B, D, and E. Councilmember Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve consent agenda items A, B, D, and E.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Prem Kumar. All in favor?
Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Prem Kumar, Matthew, Hill, motion carries.
All right. Thank you very much. Consent agenda item C is consider the award of the City of Coppell request for proposal number 220 for the approval of contract to InnoCity Partners LLC for the Smart Cities Master Plan in the amount of $115,000 as provided for in the general fund budget, and authorizing the city manager to sign any necessary documents. Councilmember Walker has asked that this be considered separately, which we are, and he asked to delay it until the May 28th, May 26th. I'll get it right in a moment. The May 26th meeting, at which time he has assured us he will be here. We need to move to postpone it to a date certain. Councilmember Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to move consent agenda item C to the May 26, 2026 meeting.
Thank you very much. Councilmember, seconded by Councilmember Prem Kumar. All in favor?
Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Prem Kumar, Matthew, Hill, none opposed, motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on. Item number 10 is a consider approval of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Coppell, Texas general obligation refunding bonds in one or more series, establishing the sale parameters, providing for the security for and payments of said bonds, and enacting other provisions related to the subject. Ms. Tien.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is being presented for approval to refund previously issued combination tax and limited surplus revenue certificate of obligations Series 2013 and Series 2016 bonds. And this evening we have Jason Hughes. He's Managing Director with Hilltop Securities, who is the financial advisor for the city with us. And Jason has a brief presentation to share some information regarding this refund with you.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Jason Hughes with Hilltop Securities, and I've got an admission to make. This is a non-AI generated presentation, so I'm sorry. So, and what makes it even worse is you saw this presentation back in July of last year. Now, having said all of that, what I'll do, as Kim said, it is a brief presentation, so I'll go through fairly quickly, be happy to answer any kind of questions you may have. While that's being brought up, one thing just to go through the genesis of a refunding, whenever we sell debt, we include a call date. And what that call date simply does is allows you, the city, the flexibility to refinance or to pay off that debt early at your choosing. It also allows for the investor to know that they have those bonds for a certain period of time. And so we're at a point now where two of the issues for the city, the 2013 COs and 2016 COs, are currently callable. And so what since they are currently callable, that allows us to refund on a tax-exempt basis, which will be the lowest interest rate that you could garner. So what we're asking for your specific approval tonight is for a parameter bond sale. You, council, establish the parameters. All of the parameters must be met in order for us to go and to issue the refunding bonds. And I'll go through those parameters in just 1 second. So what you're effectively doing now is you're delegating the final pricing to the pricing officers, and that's your city manager and director of finance. And again, as I said, all of these parameters have to be met. If any single parameter doesn't meet, then we simply don't do it. Your debt stays as is. There's no cost, anything like that, to the city. The nice thing about this is, again, it gives us the flexibility anytime moving forward after your approval, where if we have a good day in the market, we've actually seen interest rates going down over the last roughly 3 weeks. And so that's nice. So it allows us to pull the trigger, so to speak, at any point going forward. As you can see here, I did want to include this. If you look, this starts basically the week before the war in Iran started. And so you can see that uptick kind of March 1st, March 2nd. And it was a steady uptick till basically the end of March. And so what we've seen there is it kind of plateaued off, and then it's been coming down, which is exactly what we want, right? With the refinancing, much like if you were to refinance your home mortgage, the lower those rates go, the more savings the city can capture. So with that, the parameters, again, the refunding candidates, once again, is only the 2013 and 2016 COs. That's because those are the ones that are callable right now. Those have the most savings associated with them and can be refinanced on a tax-exempt basis. The maximum par amount is $10,500,000, so we can't do any more than that. Maximum rate is 3.25%. And then as you can see there, that present value is 3%. And just for real dollars, what that equates to is just over $310,000 in present value savings, or savings that you would take over time. And then the final maturity, there's no extension of the debt. Again, we are simply doing this as a refinancing for savings. So February 1st, 2036, which is the current final maturity on the 2016 bonds, that would be the final maturity on the refunding bonds. So with that, I know I went through that fairly quickly, but I'd be happy to provide any more detail as you would like, or answer any questions.
Thank you very much. You're going to have to work on the AI part of that.
I know.
Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. Jason, thanks for the presentation. And I want to start off by saying that I'm a believer in saving money for the city by refinancing. So I want you to understand that I'm coming from an side of being a supporter. My question is, I understand that this is $310,000 for the $10.5 million bond is the present value, and that is excluding your fee.
that takes into account the effect of the fees.
Right.
So that is after the fees, yes, sir. So the 310,000, that 3% would be net of all of the fees
of all
paid.
fees.
Yes, sir.
Now, are the Hilltop Securities fee, is it a portion of the total, or is it a flat amount?
It is a per bond fee, as specified in our contract.
Right now, you're looking at 3%. So if it goes any lower than that, then the potential savings for the city would be higher, correct?
If the interest rate goes lower, yes, sir. As the interest rate goes lower, savings increases for the city, yes, sir.
Can you go back to that slide that had the trend of interest rates, please? So approximately, if we had pulled the lever on this on Feb 23rd, our saving would have been higher than what it is today because it was averaging there at 2.2.
Relative interest rates were lower, yes, at the end of February.
And right now, you're asking for the trigger to be at 3%.
Yes, sir. That would be the minimum. That would be the minimum. And so again, we could achieve more savings than that. We simply could not go below that.
So out of curiosity, if the city council came back and said, we want to set the minimum at a 2.2, I'm just making it up, right? So that's something that we could do, but then that would limit your response. You'd have to wait to the rate dropping below 2.2.
Correct. So you can always, council always has the ability to set the parameters that they want. And so if I'm understanding you, if you were lowering the interest rate and you were increasing the savings, then yes, you could certainly do that. The question becomes, do we get down to that point, right?
Yeah, and just for my peers on the city council, I like the idea of refinancing. Right now, what I'm struggling with is if we approve this parameter, 33% of our saving goes off in fees. And that's what I'm struggling with. Is that the price that we have to pay to save the money? And what I'm hearing is if we set the target lower, our savings would be higher. We still have to pay the $150,000 fee, but our savings could potentially be higher.
The savings, so the fees themselves are basically fixed in the sense of any fee, regardless of the interest rate achieved by the refunding bond issue, the fee will be roughly the same. So your one variable is interest rates or are interest rates, right? So interest rates drop, savings to the city goes up and vice versa. And so absolutely, if council wanted to have a higher savings percentage, which would translate to a lower interest rate on the refunding bonds, we can absolutely do that.
Yeah, I want to conclude by saying, Jason, I like this idea. Personally, I'm having a problem with the 33% fees, so I would probably not support this or.
Can I interrupt for just a second? You keep saying 33% fees.
Yes.
It's a 10-point-something million dollar refinancing. The fees are $155,000.
Well, the total savings.
It's 330, including.
Well, the total savings without the fees is about $460,000, of which $150,000 goes as fees.
I understand, but that's not 33%. 33% would be 3.3 million.
33% of the total savings.
Okay, I just want to be clear that we were talking about the same thing.
Understood.
And one thing, council member, if I may, there are absolutely fees involved because it's an issuance of new securities. And under state and federal tax law, we have to do that. We simply can't take the old bonds and just replace them. We have to sell the new securities, the proceeds of which are used to buy or purchase the old securities from the current investors. So that's why you do have fees associated with it.
Thank you. My position is I would rather wait for the interest rates to go a little lower or set the target not at 3%, but maybe at a 2.25 or 2.5.
Councilmember, if I may, I think you actually want to go up on the savings is what you're saying, which would mean the interest rate would have to go lower than what it is.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem Carroll.
Thank you. apologize if you said this a while ago, but the maturity, so I'm assuming they were 20-year, they're 20-year issuances
Yes, sir.
originally, so 2013 and 2016.
Yes, sir.
So it talks about the maximum maturity would be February 1st of 36, I think. But
Correct.
if it was the 2013 issuance, would
Those
we do
would
it
actually,
33?
those would actually end sooner, yes, sir.
Okay, so
Just the
it-
overall bond itself,
We
the
would not be
final maturity.
extending the amortization
Yes,
or
sir.
anything on any.
Correct.
Okay. And following up a little bit, Counselor Premkumar's question, the 3%, so was there anything magic about the 3%?
There's not
goal,
really.
Whether against 5% or anything else?
So typically, what I have seen in my career is 3% is kind of the minimum savings level, whether it's city or school district that they want to take. To council member's point, if you wanted to do higher, you could absolutely do higher. And again, there's no downside per se in that the bonds just stay where they're at if we never get to those lower
Sure.
interest rates.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Any other questions for Mr. Hughes?
On-
Mr. Land?
Yeah, on your desk, Lauren just passed out what the motion would be for approving this item. The only thing I would say is to Councilman Prem Kumar, if you're going to offer that suggestion, it needs to be included in a motion, because without it, we'll be having what's being proposed right now.
Mayor.
Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Attorney Hager, Attorney Bob, what language would you recommend that do I raise in?
You would move to adopt an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of City of Coppell, Texas General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2026 with whatever the maximums and the minimum ranges that you want to set the parameters and other matters relating thereto.
Okay, can I raise a motion, Mayor?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to raise a motion. I move to adopt an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of City of Coppell, Texas General Obligation Refunding Bonds Series 2026 with max savings of 5% and approving all other matters related thereto.
I think you need to put what the parameters, both parameters, ceiling and the floor, right, Jason?
Well, I think the main thing we would need is just the minimum level of savings. So I think if it was a 5%, and just for some context, that 5% would be about 517,000. And I think that would be about a 45 or almost 0.5% drop in current rates to get to 5%. So that's roughly what that would tie to.
And what would that equate to an effective interest rate?
That would be somewhere around probably a 2.5% ballpark.
There's still a motion on the table. Did you want to amend your motion?
I'd like to leave the motion as I stated.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Matthews, seconded. So
I need to make sure Jason's clear on what the motion is.
yeah, I know. Is there any discussion? Mr. Land?
I beat you to the punch. I just want to make sure Jason's clear on what the motion is, because you're the one that has to enact it, and we're the ones that have to sign off on it.
So I think what I heard is a 5% minimum level of present value savings and then a maximum interest rate of 2.5%.
I'm getting a nod of approval, so I think Mr. Hughes is. Did the second approve of that? Yes, we have the motion and second approve that. Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Carroll.
So, apologies, clarification on this maximum rate. So we were talking about a maximum rate of 2.5%?
It is, and again, I'm kind of trying to do the math in my head on the fly. What I might suggest is if it's 5% that you would like to target, if we could raise that to 2.75%, I think that that would give us a little bit more flexibility, but it would still maintain the 5% minimum present
And-
value savings
And,
refund.
and to clarify, so we would have to, you would have to hit both triggers though, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
So, okay, so I'm trying to think, the downside, I mean, our downside would still be minimized, because you gotta hit them both.
That's right.
Even
And the
if we don't
main,
do the calculation, if they don't completely correlate, we still,
that's right. We still are getting to the 5% minimum.
okay. So you're, oh, wait,
Just a minute.
yeah.
You still have the floor.
Well, so he was recommending 275 for the maximum rate. Okay, so we're gonna need to amend the motion here, aren't we? Or withdraw, or,
That would be your option. You have the floor still.
I will move to amend the motion on the table to be a maximum interest rate of 2.75%.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We have a motion to amend the previous motion to a maximum of 2.75%, which I'm assuming is the maximum TIC rate.
Yes, sir.
It's seconded by Councilmember Prem Kumar. Is there any discussion on that? Councilmember Nevels?
I do not have discussion. I do not have a discussion point on the amendment.
Thank you. Any discussion on the amendment to change the maximum TIC rate to 2.75%? Seeing none, all in favor of the proposed amendment to the motion?
Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Prem Kumar, Matthew, Hill. Opposed? Nevels? Motion carries.
Thank you. So the motion on the table is a maximum refund savings rate of 5% with a maximum TIC rate of 2.75%.
Correct.
That is a motion and second on the table. Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Nevels?
Yes. I think it's odd that we're chopping up everything right here. Just on this, we have a presentation from from our financial advisor that's advising us on what to do, and it is supported by our staff. So I will not be supporting this amended motion, and I would be in highly support of the original presented numbers, but I just want to make that very public. I'm just not a big fan of doing this. And I wish that if there were concerns about the parameters before, that would have been addressed in like a work session or something like that. So we could have had time to digest this and really understand what we're doing. So those are my thoughts on this.
Thank you very much. I'm going to throw in a question. Jason, I'm assuming that you and Kim had talked about the proposal that you had presented with a fairly good opportunity for the rates to achieve that.
Yes, sir.
With the revised motion, what's the opportunity for achieving that in the near future?
Well, again, not knowing what will happen in Iran in particular, right? Knowing that we also have a new Fed chief that will be coming on board, assuming he's confirmed, I don't know. But it would, again, take a drop in rates of roughly 0.4 to 0.5% across the board.
And I'll put that in layman's terms. 0.4 to 0.5% is a fairly significant drop from the current rate.
That would be a significant drop from where we are now, yes.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second on the table to approve the proposal as stated with the interest rate of a maximum rate, TIC rate of 2.75% and a maximum refunded savings of, or minimum refunded savings rate of 5%. Seeing no discussion, Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Carroll.
Quick question, and this may be more for Bob. The ordinance actually could be changed or amended at any point in the future. We could change the parameters of.
Via council action, yes, sir.
We could take action to change something.
Yes.
Depending on what the market did, or we have
Yes,
different thoughts later on, we could always come back. Okay,
Correct.
so we'll be able to, we have some flexibility, and additional flexibility to what this would give us also. Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
You can adjust as market conditions allow. Seeing no other discussion, all in favor?
Hinojosa Smith, Carol, Prem Kumar, Matthew. Opposed? Neville, Hill. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item number 11 is a continued public hearing. Persons wishing to speak during public hearings must sign the register and list their address. You will be called to speak in the order that you have registered. Public hearings are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. As a reminder, the council rules and procedures shall provide that a cumulative limit of 60 minutes for all those speaking in favor of an item and a like limit for all speaking against an item. No group or organization shall be allowed more than 3 speakers on any agenda item. Mr. Steer, would you mind reading item number 11 into the record again, please?
Mr. Mayor, council members, good evening. So this is item number 11. It's a continued public hearing to hold a public hearing and consider approval of special use permit 1271 light industrial and industrial special district land use plan amendment, a special use permit request for a concrete batch plant for a duration of 5 years, and future land use map amendment from urban residential neighborhood to industrial special district on 4.47 acres of property located on the north side of East Beltline Road, north of the dark right-of-way, approximately 1,200 feet west of the city limit line, at the request of Phil Flink, Estrada Ready Mix Concrete LLC, being represented by Steve Magliscu. So the purpose of this agenda item is to hold the continued public hearing that's related to a 2-part request. Part 1 is to approve the special use permit request to allow for the concrete batch plant for a duration of 5 years. The second part is to amend the future land use plan to allow for industrial special district in lieu of the current urban residential neighborhood designation. This item was considered at the March 10th City Council meeting. The item was continued until today to allow the applicant sufficient time to update the plans and give staff sufficient time to review the proposal. So this is a special use permit request, again, to allow the concrete batch plant, and a special use permit is required for a batch plant that's in operation for more than 6 months, which is being requested. The light industrial zoning district is the highest zoning district as it relates to the intensity of land uses allowed in Coppell. Even within that district, the special use permit gives council discretion on whether to allow certain uses in specific areas. As a reminder, this property fronts on the dark right-of-way. It has a 40-foot Lone Star gas easement as well as a 20-foot TRA easement in the front. And since the March 10th meeting, the utility plan was updated to extend the water line from the east to the site, and it actually loops in south of the site. And then a fire hydrant is proposed at the end. A 24-foot fire lane mutual access easement has been added to the site. The landscape plan and tree survey have been updated to reflect ordinance requirements and correctly identify trees and shrubs. And then there's shrubs that are proposed to be directly adjacent to all vehicular use areas. And then a screening wall for the material storage areas is now depicted on the site plan, and the elevations details have been provided. The draft minor plat has been submitted for P&Z this coming cycle. It has gone through a courtesy review by staff, and our development review committee will meet on it and discuss the plans this Thursday and meet with the applicant next Thursday. An off-site 24-foot mutual access and fire lane easement to Volley Drive is proposed to be dedicated and constructed in lieu of the public road frontage requirement of the subdivision ordinance. With the minor plat submittal, a variance is being requested to this requirement. Here are the elevations of the proposed temporary office building, the water tank, the batch plant, and the silos. And the second component is the change to the future land use as outlined in the 2030 Comprehensive Master Plan. The future use and vision for this and surrounding properties is urban residential neighborhood. The purpose of this future land use designation is to provide areas for a wide variety of higher density residential uses that serve the needs of residents seeking alternatives to low and medium density single-family detached housing. The allowable uses are townhomes, apartment, condominium buildings, single lot, single-family attached and detached dwellings, and accessory small-scale commercial uses that serve the residents of the neighborhood. The future land use would need to change to industrial special district. The purpose of this area would be to provide areas for employment and light industrial activities, typically dependent upon good transportation access to highways, rail lines, and/or airports. The uses allowed within the land use designation are medium to large-scale warehousing, light manufacturing, wholesale storage and distribution, showrooms, office warehouses, research and development, technology centers, and accessory retail service and restaurant uses to serve the employees within the district. This land use is most compatible with the batch plant that's being proposed. 4 notices were sent out to property owners within 200 feet. And of course, the applicant responded in favor of the request, and the owner just west of the property is in opposition. He responded stating that there's too much truck traffic, dust, and noise. Also, the easement accessing this property is not wide enough. Then we sent out 5 courtesy notices within 800 feet and received no responses either in favor or opposition. On February 19th, 2026, the case was denied unanimously by the Coppell Planning and Zoning Commission. The following day, the case was appealed to City Council. At the March 10th council meeting, the case was continued to the April 28th council meeting, with the hearing left open for the applicant to revise plans and give staff adequate review time. A 3/4 vote of council, supermajority, which is 6 out of 7, is required to approve the request. The following conditions are recommended if council decides to approve the request. Number 1, the property be platted and a waiver to the public road frontage of the subdivision ordinance be obtained. 2, a 24-foot fire lane mutual access easement be obtained and constructed across the neighboring properties, giving proper access to a public road. 3, any work within the floodplain limits would need to comply with the relevant floodplain management requirement. Number 4, there may be additional comments at the time of building permit and detailed engineering review. And then we've added the 5th condition that the batch plant will be removed and the property restored to the pre-development conditions after 5 years from the effective date of the ordinance. Just a little background, we recommended denial to the P&Z based on the high intensity of the use, the fact that it does not match the future vision of the area. The River Chase golf course is directly to the north, and it abuts this site. The Oaks at River Chase Apartments are within 1,000 feet to the west, and this area should be redeveloped with compatible uses as outlined in the future land use plan. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
Mayor and council, since Mr. Walker is not here tonight, we'll take a unanimous vote to approve this item.
You're coming in not very loud, but I'll repeat that. This does require a supermajority vote for approval by the council, which would require 6 votes to the positive. Any questions for Mr. Steer? Councilmember Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question, just want to clarify. The modified version was submitted to the P&Z again?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, an appeal is made directly to the council, not to the P&Z. Any other question for Mr. Steer? Councilmember Nevels.
Mr. Steer, thank you for getting us back up to speed on this item. So question, I heard in your report that there were several meetings set to happen in the future.
Yes, and that's regarding the plat proposal. Council is not the approval authority with platting, so it would just go straight to the P&Z, and they would be the approval authority. That's why I was giving you an update on that.
No, thank you for that. My question is that I know that when the applicant submitted their information for their packet to be delivered to us, it was basically an incomplete packet. There were several things missing and things like that. Has staff received everything that was missing out of that packet to get them up to speed for all the approvals that are required?
Yes.
Okay, all right, excellent. Thank you very much.
Council, any other questions from Mr. Steer? Does the applicant, Mr. Flink or Mr. Magliso, have anything they'd like to say? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of council and city staff. For the record, my name is Phil Flink. I am the applicant. I am an executive for the Estrada companies, of which Estrada Ready Mix Concrete is a related entity. This evening, I have Mr. Steve McGlisco with me, also a employee, manager of Estrada, and we have our civil engineer with us as well, who did a lot of these revisions and worked with the city. We appreciate the opportunity to come back tonight and answer additional questions. We do have just a very quick presentation to put together to get everyone up to speed on kind of where we're at. And at this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Mr. McGlisco, and then I will jump in as necessary. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, council members, Steve McGlisco, 928 Falcon Lane, Coppell, Texas. I am an employee of Estrada, and we have revamped our presentation for you. We've worked hard with staff to make sure all the questions that they had were answered. So on our presentation, I'm sure you guys will remember where this is located at. We do have a pretty good amount of trees buffering this whole area against the golf course and against the apartments to the west, as you can see. Ours is the one with the big E in the middle. So this property doesn't really have, the way it's sitting right now with the zoning as urban residential and all the surrounding properties are using a light industrial use. There's really no way for us to have a conforming use that would be able to allow us to develop this or use this property. You can't have the urban residential, or I'm sorry, the urban residential adjacent to all of the light industrial that's there right now. Really what would need to happen to transfer this whole thing or transform it into a really nice little community of urban residential would be someone would need to buy all the property in there, develop it all at once into a completely different configuration from what it is now. Not that that can't be done. I think that what I saw in the master plan was some really good ideas like partnering with a developer to help this happen, probably some public financing. So it could be done. I think it would be a bit of a challenge, but it could definitely be done at some time in the future. The biggest thing would be to try to get the property from the other users that have been there for quite a long time. So looking at the current land use is light industrial. The future is the urban industrial. I'm sorry, urban residential. You do have light industrial right now on both sides of Beltline Road, and you can see the train tracks running through. And you can also see a big area of floodplain to the west and the north. So transitioning it from where it is now, you can see some of the pictures of the batch plant and the material that's set out on the property to the west of us.
You can also see the floodplain and the floodway is pretty considerable around the whole area. So there's not a lot of opportunity to expand beyond what's there right now. You can see the heavy use of the automobile repair shop, the existing batch plant, the commercial one, and then the bar and restaurant, and the general contractor doing rock work. And then you could change it over, but to really change it over, you can't fit those houses next to any of those things. And this is a duplicate of what we had in the previous slide. It kind of talks about how to get from where we are now down to kind of bare land, where a developer could step in and could transition this into a really nice urban residential area. So the other properties that are light industrial, as we mentioned, we didn't really create, we are leasing the property, just to make it clear. I think we've mentioned it before. But we have a long-term lease with this. We know the property owner fairly well. Nothing that we have done or he has done has created this kind of issue. And where we really can't use the property in any kind of urban residential format. Our property is not in the floodplain. There's no existing businesses or permanent structures on it right now, but there's just not a real way to use it for urban residential. And you can see a lot of the ownership around here. 1999 is the date that I have in there. That's as far back as the Dallas CAD goes. Some of these have been here a lot longer than that. The auto shop actually has some houses that were built in the 50s and 60s. So I'm guessing it's been around since at least that long. The master plan was created in 2011 with looking at the future land uses to come into effect in 2030. If we do have a batch plant, it kind of fits in with everything that's going on out there right now. There's an existing commercial batch plant. Ours is a little bit smaller. It's newer technology. It's cleaner. We already have a TCQ air permit on the project. And then the rocks and storage and the equipment storage next door is also going to be compatible with a batch plant. It's not going to harm anything there. This little area is kind of tucked away. We do have access to the main road belt line, which can bring us out to 35 pretty quickly or down at 635 pretty quickly. So just looking at for the zoning change, we're pretty much substantially unable to use our property as it sits right now. There's the uniqueness of the hardship in that the long-term owners are able to continue to do their non-conforming use. Any new owners that want to do anything, though, can't build anything unless they comply with the zoning use of the urban residential, which just doesn't fit in right next door to all of the industrial uses. It's not a hardship that we created ourselves. This has been around this area for quite a long time. I think it's great that the city of Coppell is looking to change this in the future, but as it sits right now, there's not much that can be done with it, and the change would not have any adverse impact on the surrounding area. Our batch plant, again, is newer technology. It's cleaner. We have an air permit already. So I think that the SUP, especially with a time limit of 5 years, would be very beneficial for everybody and a good use of the property. Any questions?
Before we go there, gentlemen, I apologize for this, but we were unable to catch your names when you spoke in. So if I could get each one of you to give your name and address into the microphone, please.
Yeah, for the record, Phil Flink, I'm with the Strata Companies, 650 Skyline Drive, Hutchins, Texas, 75141.
Thank you.
Steve McGlisco, 928 Falcon Lane, Coppell, Texas.
Thank you.
Jason Gutschall with Atwell, 2600 Network Boulevard, Frisco, Texas.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions? Councilmember Hill.
Yeah, I have one question. Is this batch plant going to operate any different than the adjacent batch plant?
I guess the target market for us is all users. I know right now the current plant that's there is a larger publicly traded company, which they're a good company, but they target the larger commercial type customers. Our plant would be open for any and all customers. We'd sell to the general public. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to put the plant up.
Let me be more specific then. In making the concrete and the process, is it any different, any more noise than what they do now? Any more dust?
Without knowing again, their noise decibels or anything like that, it is an older plant, but I'm not here to, compare ours to theirs. I will tell you ours is a brand new state-of-the-art plant. It has the latest in filtration. It has the latest in dust collector technology, so I can only speak to our plant, sir.
So you don't know what your competition is doing?
I have an idea that they've got a 20-year-old plant. That's not the same technology of a plant that's just been built within the last 3 to 5 years.
Thank you.
Councilmember Nevels.
Gentlemen, again, thank you all for coming back up, and thank you for the presentation. So just a point of clarification that you made. When y'all were here before, I remember you said something about the 5-year sunset, correct?
Yes.
Which was a condition that staff is recommending to add to the conditions if we approve. But in your presentation, you mentioned something about a long-term lease. And so I would love to get a little bit of clarification about what you mean by does that long-term lease mean 5 years, or do you have a lease on that property beyond that?
Our lease extends on the property beyond the 5 years.
Okay.
But our request is for a term of 5 years with a sunset clause, and at such time we're prepared to remove the plant from the property. And at such time it's ready for another type of use. We are longer term users, and we are receptive to working with the adjacent property owners to develop it. We are bringing services to the site, which is a substantial investment in a property for a lease. And again, we're doing that for our benefit. We acknowledge that, along with the proper infrastructure. The other part of the conditions that need to be met, we're fully prepared to meet the conditions. We're fully prepared to, again, meet the timeframes, and we're fully prepared to go back to P&Z, answer any questions related to the plat, and design this. Again, the benefit, I think, today with the 2030 is we're not trying to shoot holes or anything in the vision of the 2030. The good thing is it's not 2030, it's 2026.
To be clear, we're on 2040 plan now.
Okay.
Just so we're all speaking the same language.
So the 2040, does that show the urban residential? Okay, so we're coming in under the...
Oh, the comp plan, okay.
Comp
Sorry, I thought you were
plan,
talking about vision plan.
yes, sir. So we're asking to come in under that time, and at such time,
Yeah, and that's also the same. And just so I understand, so sunset clause, 5 years comes down the road. So is the intent, I know you said to, remove the plant, but if or I'll say if the council here is still receptive to you staying another 5 years or so, is that something that you would pursue?
we'd look at the investment, we'd look at the numbers, and we'd look at the use. If it was the highest and best use, which we feel it is, like it is today, definitely.
Okay, and just the question was just around like trying to understand what the long-term plan is, just since you said you had a long-term lease. So thank you very much for that clarification.
Councilmember Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. In your presentation, you mentioned
if the council doesn't approve it today, you are thinking about purchasing the area and thinking about doing something else?
The immediate use would be obviously what we're here for tonight. Long-term, we have a longer-term strategy. We really don't feel that that's within this 5-year window, that we're 60-month window, but we are prepared beyond that 60-month window to come back in and meet with y'all and figure out what other opportunities there are for the area.
If I could add to that as well, we do development work. I've been doing development for probably 26 years. Mr. Flink has also been doing development for probably about 12 years. The company we're with right now does own property that's zoned single family. We are looking at doing residential communities in those things. In a 5-year time frame, if some of the neighbors that are out there now would look at potentially selling that property, we would be definitely willing to discuss with the city a partnership where we could try to develop that whole thing into a single family. So when we say we've got some plans, we do have different plans. It's really going to depend on the owners that are out there now and their willingness to change or do something, and then what the city council would like to do.
Thank you for the explanation.
Council, any other questions? Councilmember Prem Kumar. Oh, are you pointing down that direction?
No, I have a question, but
She was pointing to you, I thought. Don was.
Thank you,
Let's
Mayor.
go with Prem Kumar first.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Lusko, especially because you are a Coppell resident, I want to address this to you. Thank you for bringing the opportunity. I like your enthusiasm. Anything that brings tax revenue to the city is in general a good thing. I'm going to speak for myself. On the city council, I've had difficulty that when we create an exception in a particular area, what happens is the next council meeting or 6 months down the road, a neighbor would come and ask for the same exception. And in the city of Coppell, we do need affordable homes because our elementary schools enrollment are falling. We do need those high-density homes. And right now, in the 2030 comprehensive plan, we have that area zoned for high-density homes. So my personal goal is to try to preserve that. Otherwise, our schools are going to be impacted. Now, I did try to reach out internally to find out if we can make this rezoning temporary, as in don't change it to light industrial, keep it residential, and have a 5-year exception to that. And the way I understood Mr. Hager's response to it, we can't do that today given how we have posted this. So my question to you is, what's your patience level? Are you open to exploring an edit where we make that a temporary change as opposed to a permanent zoning change?
Probably have Mr. Flink here just discuss that.
Yeah. We're obviously open to any and all options that make sense. We truly believe that the highest and best use in the short term is the plant. I think previously, one of the parts of our presentation was really heavy based on economic impact. We know that the economic impact itself can't make that decision. But again, just so it's on the record, again, we're talking in that time period approximately $4 million in economic impact for the plant with a sunset clause after 5 years versus $4,000 roughly. So, but again, we're open to work with the city. We're not here to put up a plant, operate it, and disappear. That is one of the primary purposes of mentioning we have a long-term lease. Additionally, mentioning that we're going to extend services and do additional things to invest back in. This isn't a go throw up a plant, batch some concrete, and disappear and never see us again. In fact, Mr. McGlisco and I have a track record. It's been quite a while ago. We worked for a developer in which we developed 4 subdivisions in Coppell. So this isn't the first time that we've been in front of the city.
Mayor Pro Tem Carroll.
Thank you. A couple of quick questions. So you mentioned the long-term lease. So I don't know, 10 or 15 years or whatever, but what was the property, what's it been leased for this purpose, or what? Because you've already entered the lease, is that correct?
We have, and again, we believed in the location. With the adjacent uses, the existing batch plant and the other light industrial uses on both sides, the rail line that was there, we felt it was a highest and best use for the property. And again, we moved that down to a 5-year window just because we want to honor the city's vision with urban residential.
Sure.
Prior to this, it was used as a staging area by Archer Western to build the rail line. It was used as a construction yard. So again, a very comparable use from an industrial standpoint.
Yeah, okay, but the land was leased without knowing for sure what could go here, right?
When we signed the lease, we worked with the owner.
Yeah.
And we were very clear in the lease, spelling out what we wish to use the property for,
Sure.
and we have the owner's support.
Okay. And one other question, so this is, I don't know how many feet, it's a football field further west than the current one. I mean, I don't know, I'm just approximating about, it's further west toward the apartments and everything. So what would the hours of operation be for this? Is it, because I'm assuming there's a lot of trucks and a lot of, I mean, ignoring the batch plant itself, but a lot of trucks and backup beeping or whatever else going on. So what would the hours of operation be?
I think what we would propose is we would stay in conformance with the city of Coppell's noise ordinance. So whatever the noise ordinance is, we would accommodate those hours. The major use of this is not the big commercial warehouse, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning pours. The benefit of this site is it's light out. The roads are clear so that we can get out and do some infrastructure type projects, repairing roads that need to be removed and replaced. That's kind of that is the major appeal of this. We are willing to be open to the public as well, but that's what this is. We're not anticipating this to be a go pour tilt wall buildings. Now again, from time to time we may have that type of use, but we're prepared to conform with the city of Coppell's noise ordinance.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Council, any other questions? Councilmember Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have a question for Mr. Steer, if I could get you back up here, sir. So, Mr. Steer, in looking at the documents that were included in our packet, but everything was from the original, like nothing's been changed, right? Like the staff report and stuff like that, that was from the original submittal, correct? That's what I have. And the reason why I'm asking it, it's not a gotcha or anything, but like, because staff was recommending denial.
Correct.
All right. So I guess my question is like with them updating everything and, getting you the information and things, I know things are kind of a little bit, there's some things, process that would have to be done after tonight if we move forward, but would the recommendation still be to denial?
From P&Z did recommend denial, and our recommendation to P&Z was denial. And that was based on two things, was based on the land use and the intensity of this use, not in complying with what the vision for the area was, so.
Absolutely. So if, okay.
And the second part was the incomplete plans. Now they've completed their plans, so.
So is really the only holdup from a staff approval, the land use and the comp plan? Is that fair to say? Like,
I think that's fair to say, yes.
Okay. So if this was already zoned light industrial, and would they be meeting?
It is currently zoned light industrial.
Sorry.
They're asking for a special use permit.
Yes, I'm sorry, and I misspoke on that.
Oh,
So
no.
with the request of the special use permit, if it wasn't for the comp plan and stuff, would they meet all the other requirements?
Yes, in order to ask for a special use permit.
Okay,
Correct.
all right. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm trying to get through.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Council, any other, Councilmember Brianna Hinojosa Smith.
So following up on that question, and not to put you on the spot, so like the recommendation from staff hasn't shifted and or changed from the conditions, right? It was denied for 2 reasons before.
Correct.
Or those were the 2 main reasons, and those are still the 2 main reasons.
Yeah, I can't speak for council, but our recommendation
Right.
to P and Z was based on those two things.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you. I'd like to call for executive session.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to call for executive.
Okay, we will recess from the general city council and we'll join in with our city attorney for an executive session in the back conference room.
Mayor, that would be under 551071 to consult with the city attorney, seek legal advice on agenda item 11.
Yes, that one.
All right.
Good afternoon, or good evening. We have recessed from executive session at 9:11. The time is 9:13. We'll rejoin the regular session of the city council. We were concluding comments by the applicant. We were entertaining questions from the city council. Council, do you have any other questions?
Mayor, can we have the conditions put back on the?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Mr. Steer? We've had a busy evening tonight.
No worries. Just showing off here.
All right, council, any other questions or comments? So this was a public hearing. We did not have anybody that signed up to speak for the public hearing. So I will turn the discussion back over to council for a motion or other discussion. Councilmember Hill.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing and approve item 11 with conditions.
Thank you. We have a motion to close the public hearing and approve item number 11 with conditions. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Prem Kumar. All in favor?
Nevels, Prem Kumar, Hill. Opposed? Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Matthew. Motion fails.
Thank you very much for your presentation this evening and apologize, or not apologize, but sorry for the outcome for you. Thank you. All right, item number 12 is up on the agenda next. I am a member of the HOA that is impacted by this item, so I will recuse myself from discussions and turn the proceedings of this matter over to our very capable Mayor Pro Tem Carroll.
Thank you. As Mayor Mays leaves the office, actually as Mayor Pro Tem, I am requesting, oh, thanks. I am requesting an executive session under Texas Government Code Section 551071 to consult with our city attorney about agenda item number 12. So we will be back. We're going in at 9:16. All right, thank you for your patience. Come back into regular session. It's 9:33. As an introduction, persons for this public hearing that we are about to get into, persons wishing to speak during the public hearing must sign the register and list their address. You will be called to speak in the order you have registered. Public hearings are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. And as a reminder, the council rules and procedures provide that there shall be a cumulative limit of 60 minutes for all those speaking in favor of an item and a like limit for all speaking against an item. No group or organization shall be allowed more than 3 speakers on any agenda item. So we are going to item number 12, which is a continued public hearing. Ms. Boswell, do you mind reading in item 11? 12, I'm sorry, item 12.
Excuse me. Item number 12 is a continued public hearing. To hold a public hearing and consider approval of Plan Development 214, Revision 10, Commercial, a zoning change request from PD 214R2-C to PD 214R10-C to allow for the detailed plan development of a 14,480 square foot commercial center and patio area on approximately 2.03 acres located at the south side of Sandy Lake Road, approximately 560 feet west of Denton Tap Road.
Thank you.
Okay, so as a reminder of this case, I'm going to give you a short presentation, and then I'm going to turn it over to the developer to discuss the result of his meetings with the residents of Arbor Manors. So what we're looking at is, on the left is the original PD, and on the right is the current proposal. So the original PD shows two buildings out front adjacent to Sandy Lake, while the current proposal has one building towards the rear of the property. The original has parking at the rear of the property, while the current proposal has the majority of parking out front and towards the side. The original PD has a driveway entrance off Sandy Lake at the western edge and a shared driveway out to Arbor Manors through their HOA lot. The current proposal has two driveways, one along Sandy Lake and one shared along the Verizon lot on the western portion of the lot. With the current proposal, there is no shared connection to the residential. So again, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of PD 214R10-C subject to the following conditions. One, that a detailed engineering review would occur at the time of full engineering submittal. Two, to allow a 500 square foot patio area per lot within the existing parking count. Additional patio space would require 1 per 100 square feet. Three, that the downstream drainage analysis will need to be updated to address staff comments. Four, that all signage is to meet city requirements. 5, to meet the photometric requirements at the time of permitting. And 6, for staff to take a detailed look at traffic. So at the April 14th, 2025 meeting, Council tabled the public hearing in order to give the applicant time to meet with the neighborhood to discuss their concerns. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to the developer to present what transpired since the council meeting on the 14th.
So thank you, and just for clarification, so everything that staff has, there have been no changes to anything from staff so far?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
For clarification, there's been no changes from anything in the staff presentation from 2 weeks ago, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It's my understanding that they met with the neighbors on Sunday, and so Mr. Ali is here to kind of go over what they talked about.
Okay, any questions for staff at this point?
Okay.
Not yet? Okay, thank you. Welcome. Name and address for the record, please.
Tyler Alley, 952 Bassett Place, Dallas, Texas.
Thank you.
And I think, Mary, did you have my slides? Is it? Yeah, no worries. And we can go, part of what I'm going to try to do today is explain the way it was designed, explain the residents' position, and then explain our response to that position. If this all kind of came together quickly the last few days, so if I explain anything from the resident position that's incorrect, it was honest mistake. So please correct me when you guys go up there. So just a quick intro. So we build retail centers throughout DFW, and so we're often building in situations like this. And so some decisions we made is based on experience, but our intent is to build a high quality, clean, complete masonry or glass, structural steel, long-lasting building for the project. So next slide, please. And just to keep everyone familiar with the site, part of the conversation about the project is the traffic. It's also one of the reasons why we're attracted to it, right? Retail goes where traffic is. And so just wanted to reorient us on the site. You can see all the other retailers nearby. Next slide. And, I thought it was helpful just to show, if you look at the 33 properties under 20K square feet, the vacancy has been declining in this area. So this is, in our opinion, this is usually the time where a new project would come out, when you kind of go from double-digit vacancy to single-digit vacancy. And so that was part of the appeal as to why we showed up. So next slide. So this is the current site plan. The only change that we made from the last meeting to this meeting is we slightly adjusted the storm to save a few more trees. So the last meeting, we were at 39 trees that we were saving. We were able to save 5 more quality trees, including a 19-inch post oak tree, to get us to 44. We'll get to that. We tried to make some other adjustments, and I'll talk about that throughout the presentation, including the curb cut, including moving the building. There are some limitations that we have, largely due to fire code, city ordinance rules that we're trying to abide by. So we're kind of stuck between trying to do things to fit into what the residents want and trying to fit in what the city code is. And I think that's where some of our problem is. So I'm just going to go through some of the things that we, along the way, have done to try to help make this a project. So, kind of starting from the beginning on how we got to this site plan. So to go to the next slide. So a couple things that we did, that western access point we thought was critical in terms of getting people to that median. We wanted as much traffic to flow through there as possible. So we had to pay for that access point. We had to actually put up gates for that Verizon building so that we keep people out of their parking lot. And so that was one of the first things that we did. We asked the neighbors, I think this came up in an HOA meeting at one point, about the connecting to Arbor Manors, and I brought up with the residents on Sunday as well. That seems to be a no-go from the beginning. So we have no ability to connect to Arbor Manors, and so we adjusted around that. It was something that we requested of the neighbors, but I understand why they declined it. They don't want people coming to their neighborhood through there, so it's understandable with the reasoning. But that's and then going from the concept plan to this plan, we pushed the building back. The residents have some thoughts on that. I think there's agreement between us and the residents that the fire lane should be between Sandy Lake and the building. The disagreement is how close the building will be to the fence, and so we'll get to that here a little bit. But I think that us adjusting the concept plan, moving the building to the back, I think is hopefully viewed as a benefit. Next slide. So this is the current landscape plan. In ideal world, we would move all these trees along the back, right? The back and the east. We had to spread out the trees throughout the plan, just because that's the way the rules work. And so you'll see it's a well landscaped project, and
We're about to get you some water.
Yeah, I was
Sorry,
going
thank
to
you.
say point of privilege if we
Thank
could
you.
get him some water, so.
Apologies, guys.
No,
Sorry.
no, we just want to make sure you're okay.
No, I appreciate that. But if in an ideal world, we'd be able to move some of these trees to get even more privacy and move them all along and I haven't found a flexibility within the code to do that, but just want to point out that that's something that we would be open to, but it's an example of we're limited by code on where we can put these trees, and we have to keep some on the front, we have to keep some in different portions of the site. But if we had the ability to, we would move these all to the back to create more of a buffer. Next slide, please. In the back of the property, there are 0 trees that we're required to put 0 trees in the back as a buffer. We had about 34 going into P&Z, and we increased that to 71 after feedback from P&Z. And plus, when the PD was originally done, there was already a tree mitigation plan put in place, and so those costs were already have already been paid as well. And so, the feedback we got from the residents on this was that we chose Nellie Stevens trees for this use. That was partly due to staff recommendation. The residents asked if there was options that grow more quickly. We found a couple options that grow more quickly. They're not as beefy as Nellie Stevens, they're close. And so as we go through this process, we'll try to find the best, pricing-wise, they'll all kind of be the same. So we're going to try to figure out what is the actual best solution there from a speed and size perspective. But just want to note that we did put, there are 71 trees added that aren't required by code. Next slide. And then these are just other parts of the landscaping plan. As you see, what's required, we're often, we're always at what's required, but we're often above what's required on the landscaping. We're limited to where we can put these. There's perimeter, there's interior, there's requirements on where these have to go. But if there is flexibility allowed by the city, we would be happy to move as much of this to the back to create more privacy for the residents as possible. So next slide. And I just wanted to also just highlight like the trees that we're saving. So the top left one that says southwest corner. So there's 4 trees there that we were able to save in an island. The rest of them are kind of on the south and the eastern portions, which obviously makes logical sense. And so the eastern boundary, you can't really. I don't know if you can see 4007, 4009. Those are where we saved, 5 more trees around that area. But the goal was to try to save the trees that we are trying to save are on the eastern side and are on the back, right? And the hope was that would leave a little bit more privacy for the residents. Next slide, please. And so just to recap some of the engagement with the neighbors. So I went to an HOA board meeting in February. I'll have to get this confirmed with you, Dan, but I think there were about 8 participants there that we originally spoke to them about. We were originally there asking about the Arbor Manors connection, and we were asking if we could connect to the water line. After that meeting, it became clear that those weren't going to be receptive, and so we moved on from asking for those two items. We did share what our plans were at the time. But that was our first meeting. We then I was at Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council meeting where there was quite a bit of engagement between from residents, and then over the last couple of weeks after City Council, I connected with the HOA. A couple of days later, they were going to get together to kind of get consensus amongst themselves. Mary then got us connected, got us emails with everybody on the group. So it took a few days to get us all organized, and then the neighbors were able to kind of get consensus over the next week, and then we were able to meet on Sunday. We met with 10 people came on Sunday for that meeting. I think many of them are here today, so it's a lot of familiar faces. Many of these are neighbors that are right behind the property, so understand why they are the most involved. And so we did have to submit the plans on Friday prior to this meeting. The meeting wasn't able to happen before then. So there could have, so what we did was, that's why the only changes since then was that 5 trees. We were able to do that on our own. And so I'll talk through what we went through, and then, there are a couple of things that like maybe we could have implemented on the plans, but we weren't able to, given the timing. But hopefully other things that we're able to do as we move along. All right, so these are the 10 requests. There are a couple smaller ones in addition to this, but I think these are the primary ones. And I'll try to point out what I think are their most critical ones, but I'll allow them to speak to that as well. Increase the setback. So right now we have a 20-foot setback, and they're asking for that to be a rear setback. They're asking to be a 40-foot setback. So they still want the fire lane to be in the front, but they want basically the buffer in the back to, instead of be 20 feet between the wall and the building, to be 40 feet. Building placement. This has moved the building to the front of the lot. Like we clarified this. What they mean is move it from 20 feet to 40 feet. They don't mean flip it to go the other way. So just want to clarify that. If I misspoke on that, they'll correct me on that. Building footprint, they were asking us to reduce the building footprint to half its current size, so from 14,500 to 7,000 or so square feet. Food service restrictions, I think this is probably their biggest concern, is having restaurants there. Setbacks, restaurants, those are probably the two biggest ones. No patios, no drive-throughs. We don't have a drive-through. I think part of the concern was could it be made permanent that this will never be drive-throughs? I think that's more of, like, ultimately you can't get drive-throughs unless they come back to you guys, right? So I think that's relatively protected, but we don't care. We don't need drive-throughs, so we're happy to grant that. Access management. So they were asking to remove the second entrance to have a single entry. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but we can't do that for fire purposes. And so that's one that is where our hands are tied. Arbor Manor Drive, permanently prohibit any entrance from Arbor Manor's Drive. We don't have access now, and that sliver between our property and Arbor Manor's Drive is owned by, I guess, the HOA. I think, yeah, by HOA, and so that could never be accessed without the association approving it. So I think that one's fairly well protected. The wall height, increase the wall height by at least 3 feet. The wall height is currently managed by the HOA, and so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then tenant restrictions, place restrictions on the type of businesses allowed. The residents favor daytime-oriented uses that are not weekend or evening heavy, and I understand their concern there. But so those were the requests made by the neighbors. I'm sure they'll be able to speak more on that. I think the setback, the restaurant, the access management, the patios kind of go with the restaurants. I think those are the top concerns. But some of these are similar. Okay, we're going to go through these one by one. Obviously, cut me off if I'm going too long. So the current assigned rear setback is 20 feet. The resident request rear setback is 40 feet. Our position, so this is something that we're kind of boxed in by the ordinance. The fire lane is what kind of dictates the site, and the turn radius for the fire lane is what dictates where the fire lane location goes. It's a 30-foot turn radius. If the code was different and we can shift the roads forward, if we could have less of a front yard landscaping requirement, right? If those rules existed, then we can move the road forward, we can move the building forward as much as we possibly can. The restriction we have is the fire lane gets placed, and then there's a road parking, and then our building has to, goes next, right? And so we don't have a lot of room to maneuver here. And so this is one where we're trying to see if we can squeeze, a few feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, but my engineer this morning told me he doesn't think he doesn't think with the current fire lane location that there's really any movement here. But this is one where we're open to ideas with the city on how to, I don't know if there's flexibility in the rules to allow us to shift the fire lane, things like that. Obviously not trying to engineer here on the spot, but that is the reason why we understand the request, and we're not necessarily opposed to the request. We just don't have geometrically, we don't have the ability to move the building. Next slide. This is the same thing as number one. They're just trying to get more green space in the back. I understand that. So that is similar thing to the number one. We're open to compromising here. We just don't have an engineering solution right now because of the code. Let's go to the third one. Reduce building footprint. This is one that we just financially, the economics of the deal just don't make sense if we're buying that big of a lot for that small of a building. And so this is one that, truthfully, we just can't do, and so it'll be something for the council to consider on whether or not you're okay with that. This I think is where the biggest disagreement is, and it's not that it's not necessarily that I want to do restaurants. Restaurants just tend to drive the traffic and drive the leasing of the rest of the center. So what typically happens in our centers is you get one or two restaurants, and then that helps bring in the other tenants because they want to be next to those restaurants. We've had some sit-down restaurants and things like that have approached us, but we're trying to. What I will say is we're trying to gear towards restaurants that would be more viewed more positively by the residents. So I'm thinking sandwich shop, ice cream, coffee, things like that. That's what that's where we're like leaning towards, away from like a sit-down restaurant. You know, I think if there were, if the economics of the deal were better for us, like we could remove those, right? But between spending the money on the access to the west and the trees in the back and all these other things, like we're just running out of room, and this just ends up being a critical part of the leasing piece. I do think this may be the number one item for the residents, is the noise and things that come with the restaurants. And so we do understand that. Pest control, like we'll have full service pest control on the site, so I'm hoping that we can deal with issues like that. And we're trying not to, we're focused on uses that aren't, there's not going to, not like restaurants where people are drinking and things like that, right? We're really looking for more casual places like ice cream, that hopefully don't cause as much of an issue. But this is one major disagreement between us and the residents. Next, worth noting too that 4,200 square feet, this is a 14,500 square foot building. So we're not doing the full building restaurants. We're doing a small part of it to restaurants. This really equates to 2 restaurants, like two 2,000 square foot restaurants. On the design, so we did have the patio space up in the northwest. This is one where they've asked, I think this is noise focused, right? When the patio that we're looking at right now is mostly for the ice cream shop. And so, this is one where our plan would be to try to negate this as much as possible. We'd probably move the patio space to the inline, so it's in the middle of the building, so it's not on the outside to block some of the sound, and then that would probably end up being a couple of tables for ice cream on the outside. We wouldn't allow music or things like that to try to help mitigate it, but that is this is another place where just the economics of the deal are. We're trying to figure out where we can give and where we can't, and these two obviously hurt leasing a lot, which then makes the economics harder. Next slide. No drive-throughs. We're good with this. We're not requesting a drive-through. If there's a way for the city to make it more permanent, like we don't care. So, but that is one request I had. Number 7, eastern curb cut. This is one where like we don't actually care where this goes. Like we'd want to move this west. I understand why the residents wanted to move west. This is again a fire code restriction. So we brought it up with the fire department this past week, and this still is the right location from their perspective, and we'd be open to moving this west, but for fire coverage perspective, it would need to be right there. So again, this is a place where we're happy to compromise on. We just don't have an engineer. We don't have a solution right now that works for the fire department for this. Next slide. Wall height. So on the wall height, so we obviously didn't have no adjustment for the wall. And just a reminder, the wall is basically, it's a 6-foot wall. There's a 2-foot foundation underneath it. So it's effectively 8 feet, but the homes were built a little bit higher than the property, so it's not a perfect solution. We don't have, the wall is not on our property, and it's not something that we will be maintaining long term, and frankly, we don't want to take the liability of the structure of the wall. And so I think the simplest solution is for us to offer the HOA funds to be able to do whatever screening they think they make sense. So we're offering $25,000 to the HOA for screening. And so maybe they use that for the wall, maybe they use that for other purposes, but I think that to me is the simplest solution to this. Next slide. Tenant restrictions. So I think this is mostly related to restaurants still. I don't know if it doesn't seem like there's good mechanisms to restrict other uses, and I don't know what uses we'd even want to restrict. So right now I'm focused on the subject purely on like restaurants. But if the residents have any like more specific thoughts today than Sunday, I'm happy to hear more on this. And yeah, and so I think that's and so that's the fullest. If you keep going to the next slide. So I tried to split this up into things that like we're willing to compromise on, the things that we've said, things that we're just not able to do economically. So the increased setback and building placement, like these are things that we want to compromise on. There's just not like we're limited based on the city's rules right now. And so if the city's rules were able to be adjusted, we could work within that. But number 9 is I count it as a compromise because we're giving some money, but it's not going to be 3 feet with that. So that's the point on that. The red ones are building footprint, not able to reduce that. And then again, the restaurant, I think the restaurant is the biggest, I think, disagreement between the two groups. No drive-through, Arbor Manors, those are easy. Access management, that's one that we is just truly won't be able to do for fire reasons and city code reasons. Next slide, please. I do want to mention that, and this was brought up by the residents, is when it comes to the traffic and the access, they think a traffic light here would make a big difference. It would stop people there, and so allow people at Arbor Manors and Skirka to be able to come out pretty easily because they won't be, because traffic will be stopped there. I think it's like for us, that's also, we're very supportive of that idea. I put down here they'll be willing to contribute funds to it as well. I think that if we had the traffic light there, that released some of the economic pressure on us and allows us to compromise on other items, right? And so I wanted to bring it up as it seems like a win-win scenario that that would allow us to, keep providing things to the residents. But we spoke with the city engineering department today, and it doesn't seem like they would be in favor of a traffic light there. Arbor Manors, we've always been told it's too close to the intersection to have a traffic light. I think that Arbor Manors traffic light would also resolve this. That would have no benefit to us, but I think would be, so those are just items that I think, this is one item that isn't contemplated by anything right now, but I think would bring a lot of flexibility to this project, and would allow us to give more, would solve the traffic concerns, and I think would be it's just an overall good solution for everyone. But understand the engineering department has their concerns. Next slide. So this is kind of just our current proposal versus original concept plan. So access through the west. So what we feel like we provided is access through the western property. So that's something that we had to pay for. We flipped the building from along Sandy Lake to back of the property. The 20-foot rear setback, I think is greater than what the concept plan has. The concept plan was up against parking, not a building, but I think the concept plan is a much smaller setback there. So we were contemplating installing 71 trees. We saved 44 trees, and the tree mitigation, as I said, was done as part of the original PD. There's no Arbor Manors drive connection, no drive-through. We're offering $25,000 to HOA for to help with screening. We're happy to have the HVAC units screened, but we're actually going to try to do the HVAC units on the ground in the back, so that they don't have to look at anything, and then then the wall will be blocking the noise. And I don't know if that will be feasible or not, so I'm going to leave HVAC screen on top. But I think we rarely get a chance to do units on the ground, but it's actually better for us. We have to see how the spacing works out. And so additional options with the city help, like again, if the traffic light was installed, we're open to other concessions. There are other financial savings that we can have. We can use those to offer more concessions, and we can shift the building if we had more flexibility on the fire lane and those things, that we'd be able to shift the building a little more. There's some other little things that we're planning to do. So no music. If we do have a patio, there won't be any music. Things like that. Our hope is that, as we further our design, we'll be able to find a way to save more trees and things like that. But a lot of these things were generally aligned with the neighbors. Like, we want to have as many saved trees as possible. We want as much buffer as possible. We're actively trying. It's a shallow site, and there's limitations on what we can do from a design perspective. And so hopefully that can be appreciated. And if you go to the next slide, I think everyone hopefully the association has my number. This is my cell phone number. And so, if anyone in the neighborhood wants to reach out, we do have many of their emails, and I provided these slides to them this morning, so they'll be able to, they could review it before city council and be able to speak to them. But we're trying to be as, we're open to talking to all of them. It was helpful to have them come together with a consensus and a list so that we could talk through it. But yeah, that's what we have. I'm sure the residents will come and speak to it. Hopefully, if there's any more questions, we'll have another chance to address anything that comes up. But happy to take any questions now before we finish. Might be helpful to go back to one of the site plans. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you very much. So we'll open it up for questions. Councilor Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have two questions, one for the city attorney and one for the applicant. First, I'll ask the city attorney, if the council denies this request today, can the applicant tomorrow morning pull a permit to build on the approved plan from 15 years ago?
That's kind of a narrow question. They have a concept, they have a vested right to build what was conceptually approved when this PD was created. Because there's probably, the homeowners association is not going to allow them to access Arbor Manor by giving them an easement. They would be required to meet the fire marshal's concern. They have to have a driveway out of 2 points of access off their property, which would require what we're calling the eastern driveway. So that would have to have site plan approval, which would come back to you, but only for that site plan amendment, not for the rest of the changes which have been discussed during the zoning application.
Thank you. A question for the applicant. If the council deny this request, are you considering to build the approved plan from 15 years ago minus the entrance of the Arbor Manor?
I would not, but so we are purchasing the site from another developer. I imagine they would. If you go to that concept plan, it just makes the project weaker. And so if you did do the concept plan, you probably do it without a lot of the added bells and whistles of this plan. So it's we'd consider it, but the point is, I think it would get built better than it being vacant forever, right? It's better to build something, but it would be probably a very simple, minimal, bare bones design, because when you flip the building, the leasing will be worse, the rents will be worse, and so you're gonna have to just maneuver that. So so that is we believe in this plan, and I don't think that it's I think it's just a totally different project that we probably wouldn't do, but I think the current owner of the project would have no choice but to do, and then it would be a different project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Councilor Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have a question for our city engineers. So one of the things that was mentioned was the flexibility of the fire lane. Is there any flexibility there that we should consider?
I wasn't in the meeting with the fire marshal. I apologize. So flexibility of the fire department, I'm not able to speak on at this time. Sorry.
One more question for you.
Sorry, I'm going to butt in here for a second. So we did talk to the fire marshal this afternoon, and the Fire department is in support of the current location of the eastern drive as shown. However, if council feels the drive needs to be moved further to the west, it they could probably work with it. It would just cause a dead-end fire lane in front of the building.
Okay. But to follow up, that would not, will that help the building move forward 40 feet from the southern wall? It won't. Okay, then defeats the purpose. Thank you. And another question, I understand that the applicant talked to someone about the traffic light in front of Andy's by the western entrance. What's the city's position on putting a traffic light there?
So my understanding of their proposal is not the Andy's driveway, but the private commercial driveways, the Verizon property and the insurance office property.
Okay.
So our ordinance is to follow the Texas Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which requires certain traffic signal warrants to be met, as shown in a study. Smaller commercial driveways like this typically don't meet those warrants. So that's why we said that to them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Councilor Hill.
Ms. Barone Boswell, do you know what the square footage was on the original PD?
I'm sorry, I do not.
Looks like it's roughly what it, I mean, are those both the same scale? Do you know? You don't know?
I try to blow it up
Yeah.
as close so they would
Yeah,
look
it's
kind of the same.
It's looking like 14,000 to me. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, thank you.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
For the fire lane, the turn radius is 30 feet. In a lot of cities we work with, that turn radius is 20 feet. And so I think it's not uncommon for that to be less than 30 feet. And so that's something that we would have to continue to work through. But if that were the case, we'd be able to shift the building forward. And again, we were only able to meet with the residents on Sunday, so we didn't know about the request till Sunday, or we'd have redesigned it for you guys today. But that was I just want to note that it's very common to have that radius be 20 feet, not 30 feet, and so it's not hopefully that's not an impossibility, but it's probably just a restriction of the current ordinance. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? All right. So this public hearing was initially opened on April 14th of 2026, and it is continued to today's meeting. 2 weeks ago, the hour for those speaking in opposition to the application was used in its entirety during the prior city council meeting. However, we want to hear, there is some additional new information that has come forward, and so we are interested in hearing, but council does request that you limit your discussion to the new information that has been provided or the new conversations that have been going on. So we would request that. So saying that, we have 6 people that have signed up. The first one is Vichy. Come on up and give your name and address.
Sorry, excuse me. I'm trying to get my PowerPoint because by the time we got to the PowerPoint, sorry. My name is Vichy. I'm at 126 Wild Plum Drive. I live right behind the proposed development, the PD. So, having said that, can I approach and give the copy?
Yeah, if you'll hand it to the city secretary. She'll be able to distribute it later on.
Unfortunately, I do have only one copy. I couldn't make enough, there was not enough time for us.
She'll
Okay.
share it. She'll share it with us.
Okay. So there is going to, because of the time constraints, I'm going to speak for the first five or six slides, and then I'm going to have my friends and from the communities continue talking about it. We spent a lot of time on this. So to start with, first of all, thank you all for listening to me, giving me the opportunity to talk. We met with Tyler Alley, the developer. He's a very nice guy. But at the same time, we want to see as a community, the voice of the community is basically to say, we want to protest against this PD, we want to cancel this PD and rezone it as a green belt. Now, why do we say this? Last time, on April 14th, Councilman...
Just one question. You said rezone it as a what?
As a green belt.
Okay, thanks, green belt.
The property itself is very small. It's kind of very shallow. So when you try to put something, there is a reason why it has not been built from 2006 or 2007 when it was zoned commercial to now it is 2026. And we are hearing about this whole building starting now, right? Why didn't somebody build it? Does anybody have a question? Answer for that? I don't think so. The reason why it was not built is because it is not the right place for building it. And, you know, it was zoned in 2006, 2007. Situations and things have changed. The whole traffic situation has just blown. And the city of Coppell, in the city of Coppell, we don't see any development very close to a commercial zone except in our development. The only place where you would see within 20 feet is in the Arbor Manors community. Why is that? Also, when we started out, just to give you a timeline of events, March 19th, the PNZ meeting, at the PNZ meeting, we were told that this is a done deal. Guys, go work with the developer. We can't do anything more. Mr. Walker did make the comment or ask the question, why did you guys not say no? I didn't hear anybody saying no. This is why we said we didn't say no, because we didn't even know that there was an option for us to say no to the council. We were told, that's it, done. This PD, according to us, is an invitation for lawsuits. This place is already having a lot of traffic issues. There have been 2 fatalities in the last 18 months. The criteria for planning has to be for the well-being and the safety of the community. The criteria is not met here. And the current PD only compounds the existing problem. It is not helping it in any way, shape, or form. Also, we asked for how the 20% threshold for the 3/4 majority of this council voting has to be done. According to our calculations, we do meet the opposition for the development. However, we were told that we do not meet that opposition. We do not meet that threshold. We have asked for that information. We have not received it yet. I just want you folks to keep that in mind when you start talking about about whether you're going to approve this development or not. There are some deal breakers for this development as far as the community is concerned. One is we do request a traffic impact analysis. We will go through that as we go through the PowerPoint or the presentation. We are requesting definitely a reduction in the building footprint, to which the developer has already said that it is not financially viable for him. And we will give you a reasoning as to why we think this footprint should be reduced also. The third request is there should be we do not want any restaurants and patios. And again, we will talk more about it as we move forward. there, and we are requesting a signal to be placed to the west of the
Excuse
planned
me,
development.
but your time is up, so move to the next one, is that right?
Oops, sorry. Okay.
I have Nilesh? Yeah, come on up. Name and address, please.
Nilesh Pagare, 140 Juniper Drive. Good evening, everyone. Thanks to have this opportunity. I know we are squeezed in 5 minutes. We did numerous attempts to request rescheduling of this hearing because many of our neighbors wanted to come here and speak, who couldn't speak last week. And this week, this time, we have more data. We have more legal core-based data. And we just finished our presentation, squeezing through our timelines this afternoon. As a result, we could not share our presentation with the city secretary. It would have been nice if the presentation was put on here so everybody can see it. Everybody who's going to see the recording could see it. If there is any room for that, I'll be very happy to do it. So the main issue that we have here, we all, as a community, we reject this PD. We want to reject it. Every single survey that went from resident has opposed this PD. I think that should be loudly, heard by everybody here in the council as well as in the city departments. The other issue that we need to talk about here is the corridor, okay, and the businesses that are across from the north side of the Sandy Lake. There is already an Andy's, which is a busy ice cream place, and neighborhood across Arbor Manor, within Arbor Manor, enjoys that. Okay, the traffic between Whispering Hills and Denton Tap on Sandy Lake runs at around 20 to 26,000 vehicles per day. Okay, I'm going to jump forward quickly. On April 14, there was a council memo, and in the council memo, Ms. Hurley, she said the staff was requested by Planning and Zoning Commission to review the traffic in the area. Staff looked at the ordinance related to when the traffic impact analysis is required. Based on the trip generation analysis, 914 daily trips from the new planned PD will be created. Now we'll get into the details for that. And this is the crucial data. I would also like the city engineer to hear from me, and my sincere advance request to give me a little extra time because these details are extremely important. So 63 a.m. peak hours trips, 85 p.m. In the evening trip, and they do not meet ordinance threshold for traffic impact analysis. That was the conclusion by Ms. Hurley. Now let's talk about the detail of this. Okay. Now 914 trips, daily trips that are planned today based on 14,000, almost 500 square foot. There is the biggest index. Okay. I would like city council members to look at this. This is the biggest index that you cannot overlook. Building footprint plus traffic volume and the type of business triggers the variation in the traffic. Now, what does that mean? Okay, whoever has the printouts, you can do it. I'm happy to lend you this laptop if you want to see it. Okay, but if you look at this slide, if there is a shopping center, okay, if you allocate a restaurant, if you look at the bottom two lines, a restaurant having 4,200 square foot is going to trigger 1,974 trips, immediate instance for TIA, need for signal. Okay. Now, if you look at the high turnover sit-down restaurants, right, 4,200, that is talking about 450. But if the restaurant becomes fast casual, ice cream place, fast casual, it is going to call for 1,974. If the restaurant QSR, right, no drive-through, is daily trips, it's going to contribute to 550 additional. That's going to make 2,310 trips from that new PD. It's going to trigger TIA. Okay. Again, that's the reason we have been talking about the signal at the Whispering Hills and not Whispering Hill, the across from Verizon and the agencies. Now, the current data that was provided by Ms. Hurley is barely 8.6% away from that trigger. And we don't know. We don't know what builder is really going to bring to that complex. So That's why the index that I would like council members to think, why we are saying 50% of the retail market is the building footprint, traffic volume, and the business type is a very important index to be considered, right? To make sure that the trip generation is permanently below the TI threshold. If we don't do that, even beyond our own wish, this is going to become a traffic chaos and nightmare and lawsuits after lawsuits.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Next on the list, it just has Dev. Yeah. Name and address, please.
Yeah, Dev Mukherjee, 148 Amberwood Drive, Coppell, Texas. So you see the bone of contention is really the traffic volumes and having restaurants which essentially make the traffic volume even higher. So right now, we already have a problem with traffic, as Nilesh mentioned. We have a tremendous amount of traffic volume between that corridor, Whispering Hills and Denton Tap. We've had a tremendous number of accidents. I have personal friends of mine whose children have totaled their cars right over there. There have been some pretty serious accidents that have taken place. There's debris all the way in the middle of that intersection. And so one of the things that we are really looking at is this having restaurants, two solid restaurants there, whether it's of a casual type or a quick service type, what would that do to that traffic? So one thing is we obviously do need a traffic impact analysis. And based on that, we also need to have that signal, which everyone seems to agree that we need to have. And there are some extra details in the presentation. If you see, from Whispering Hills to that intersection where we are requesting a signal is close to 1,000 feet, which is according to the code, which is within the compliance of putting a signal there. So why do we need a signal there? Because what happens is when in rush hour, which is almost all the time in that corridor, when Whispering Hills signal goes green, you have a backup from Denton Tap all the way through to Andy's and to that intersection. There is no control of flow of traffic, and that's what causes the choke point right outside our intersection. The restaurants will make it worse. If you're talking for 1,000 daily trips into that property, first of all, it is close to 945. It's just a few more trips which can easily trigger that traffic impact analysis. Now, why do we not want restaurants? Well, last time you heard Monica Panda from, who actually lives this every day. Tyler met with Christoph and Queenie, neighbors of Monica and Manus. They lived the nightmare with McDonald's and the 151 drive-through. Constant noise, lights, odor, pests, garbage, all that. Increased traffic volume, trash outside in the back of the property, so close to the wall. Odor, we have rat problems around our neighborhood. There's lights, tremendous through traffic. I mentioned that the last time. That's going to increase by 3, 4, 5 times. More solicitation, more marketing, people knocking on doors and just creating a racket in our neighborhood. One thing I want to bring to your attention is we have a tremendous number of restaurants already around our neighborhood. We don't need any more restaurants to make, the volume of traffic or get more variety. And what we are basically saying is, if you look at this, the better tenant mix within the 3/4 mile radius from our property, we would essentially need some of these preferred businesses which don't exist in our neighborhood. We need those, insurance offices and dental offices and professional services offices as opposed to more restaurants. And that would help, bring down, even if you maintain the same footprint, you'd bring down the volume of traffic. So that's our contention. The other thing that I want to bring up is we have, at the end of it, we want a traffic impact analysis. There are some impacts that I think I want to bring up. One is homeowners selling homes People who are over here are already considering to sell and leave because they're seeing their property values go down. There's going to be a lot of construction, there's going to be dirt, there's going to be debris. It's going to be a less desirable place to stay, that's for sure. The last and most important thing is that I think we're going to invite a lot of lawsuits. You know, there's going to be accidents. God forbid that there is another fatality in that intersection. This neighborhood will not stand down. They will go out and have lawsuits. And we really implore the city to to take a responsible decision about this. Take care of the interests of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on the list, Jen. Same address. Or no address. Maybe I should not say the same address. Welcome.
So, thank you. Genevieve Mukherjee, 148 Amberwood Drive. To touch on some points that I didn't make the last time, from our neighbor, Monica Panda's narrative last, 2 weeks ago. What she uncovered, or rather disclosed to us, and was uncovered for me today, was that we were all thinking for a minute, why isn't she invoking the city's help to take care of all of this noise, this pestilence, and the smells and the odors? Why isn't she doing something about it? That was our take. But she has maintained today for all of us that she has reached out numerous times and made, the non-emergency calls. And, we've had the police show up a couple of times, but then after that, they just dismiss the calls and they don't show up. And what that does is it raises the cost to the city of, now there are 8 more neighbors on this wall that are potentially going to be making those calls, non-emergency calls. And that's going to raise the cost to the city. Even if they, after a certain point in time, they say, well, it's much of the same and we're not going to respond. What does that do for tax-paying residents of Coppell? What is the message that, the council and the city as a whole is sending to a group of residents that have been here for a long time, that came to the city with good intent and wanted to make this their home? What is the message you're sending to us, right? That we don't count, that our dollars don't count, that we won't get the response that we're looking for. Tyler, and I want to say this, Tyler, you're an extremely good person. He worked with us. He demonstrated that he is collaborative and he will work with the residents. And he indicated, through that he is a viable developer for us. It could be someone else who didn't want to play ball at all. He wants to work with us. And in spite of his good intentions, I don't know that he can actually control his lessees when he rents that property out to his, to whoever comes in there. How does he oversee their behavior? How does he make sure that there's no trash being left out instead of going into the dumpster, that hygiene is maintained, that noise levels are down? And everyone knows that teenagers, you put out a patio, teenagers that don't go buy ice cream are going to be inhabiting that patio at hours well past when anyone else is wanting to be around. If the city is not responding to Monica today and to her extremely dire circumstances today, what is the guarantee that these 8 homes on the wall are going to get any better service? So why then homes that are upwards of $1 million, and more, are getting the shaft here from a city that's looking to be progressive, that's looking towards being AI, literate and adopting AI, for the betterment of our city, for the revenues, for the betterment of our lives together? Why are we being singled out? This is my concern, and all of us here are worried about this. Why are we feel like we're being singled out for a unilateral decision that was made in 2007 when the dynamics were not the same? Everything has changed, guys. Everything has changed. So we're asking, based on the data, based on the facts that we've presented, based on the fact that this developer is wanting to work with us. If this thing goes forward, be advised that if anything bad happens, like if there is an accident and it's fatal, you guys telling any of us, my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, is just not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. As a mother, I know that if anything happens to my child, God forbid, I will move heaven and earth. There is nothing anyone can do to make me feel better. So I'm saying this and representing all of the people that live in this community that face that potential threat. And it's not just our community, it's the other side, people traveling through. Anyone can get hurt because of the levels of traffic and the fact that human beings are what they are. And they react to pressure, how they're driving. No one can control that. You guys can't, we can't, Tyler can't. So, if city code trumps everything, rethink that. In the interest of your citizens, city code is here to make your citizens' lives better, right? It's not to just put in a law that has no exceptions. Every rule has an exception, right? We know that. So that's my earnest plea. Thank you for the time, and I hope you make the right decision, given the interests of the residents, putting that primary.
Thank you very much. Next on the list, last name Arunachalam. Did I say that right? Yes. Name and address, please, for the record.
Hi. Hi. My name is Mayappan Arunachalam. I live in 125 Wild Plum Drive, Coppell, Texas. Thank you, City Council, for listening to all of us. I don't want to waste more of your time. I think my neighbors have really, made their points. For me, my main concern is traffic, and really for me to get in and out of Arbor Manors already before any of the development is a nightmare, because especially during that 8:30 to 9 and in the evening, I'm telling you, getting out, facing Sprouts, traffic from in and out of Sprouts into Arbor Manors, it's so hard to even get in and out at 8 to 9. And in the evening, 5 to 5:30, I don't even take that route. I have to go the other entrance to get to my house. So please do consider traffic. And I think it's very dangerous if we don't consider that and allow the PD to move forward. I strongly oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then last on the list, Mr. Robichaud. Name and address for the record,
Sure.
please.
Dan Robichaud, 143 Juniper Court. I'm also the president of the HOA. I don't have a lot to add to what's been already said tonight, but I do want to address something that was proposed with the resident. I wasn't able to attend the meeting with the residents as a formal member of the HOA. We did exchange some conversation this evening and via email. I do think that they want the best for their development. I think they have our interests at heart, but they're also in it to make money. There's no promises that there's going to be a beautiful little ice cream shop, right, or a sandwich shop. There's probably going to be a vape shop. It's going to be a nail salon. It's going to be another karate studio, and all of those things are going to have high traffic. It's going to increase the traffic out of Sandy Lake onto Sandy Lake. I know you talked to your engineer about a light that's going in and out of the Verizon parking lot into an insurance, which maybe has 2 cars in it, max, that I've ever seen go by there. But I think you should strongly consider putting a light at Arbor Manors Drive going across to the Sprouts parking lot. There are many high schoolers that go from our neighborhood across to the high school, and it's very dangerous. There are many left turns there that you can't see. People stopped to be courteous to try to let us into our own neighborhood, but then there's someone coming 40 or 50 miles an hour down Sandy Lake to clip them, and it's very blind and dangerous getting across there. So whatever traffic study you need to do, I think someone made the point, there is sufficient data there to warrant a TIA, right? And it would help us to be able to turn left out of Arbor Manors onto Sandy Lake West, as well as turning into Arbor Manors. So with that, I would also say that who knew there was going to be a pizza place next to, 50 feet from someone's front door? The rats in our neighborhood is incredible. You could probably sell a rat coat out of all of the rats that we trapped in our neighborhood. It's an ongoing issue. I think Coppell has a rat problem. You're not owning up to it. Something needs to change. You maybe need to take some routine walks back behind these businesses and make sure they're complying with your codes, because it's not happening. They say the smells. I hear the sounds. The dumpster comes and empties at the Verizon Frontier parking lot at 5 in the morning every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That same driver almost runs me down in Andy Brown East at 5:15 in the morning, just going behind the core. Track him down. He works for Republic. So they don't really care when they do the trash collection, as long as they get it done, and they're over to 7-Eleven to meet up with their buddies for coffee by 6. So something needs to change, and it really has to do with you guys setting an example and enforcing what needs to happen to make sure that the citizens are protected. So with that, I'll answer any questions, but I don't think you can ask me any questions, but please listen to us.
Thank you very much for your input. So that's everybody on the list. So thank you very much for taking the time to address us and everything tonight. So we appreciate that. So with that, any other questions from council for staff or the developer? Oh, Councilor Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Question for Attorney Hager. Bob, I thought I heard someone say that they interpreted Councilmember Walker as suggesting to them that they have an option to say no. So my question to you is, if we say no to this, and if we go back to the current site owner, and if the city keeps denying any proposal from them, what kind of legal liability does the city expose itself to by denying the current site owner any commercial plan?
That's legal advice. If you
That's
want
an
it out.
executive session.
Just so you know, I'm hesitant to say anything because it is legal advice.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to call an executive session, please.
Okay, Councilor Prem Kumar has requested an executive session under Texas Government Code Section 551071 to consult with the city attorney about agenda item number 12, and we will adjourn to executive session at 10:42. Thank you for your patience. 11:07, we'll come back into regular session. So we are at comments or questions for staff or the developer from council. Any additional? Councilor Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to correct a statement that I made earlier. I misquoted what Mr. Walker said. I think what he said was not what I repeated, so I'll take that back. Thank you.
Other comments, questions, discussion? Councilor Hill.
Yeah, I would like to ask staff if they could give us some information about people within 200 feet and if they were opposed, what percentage you arrived at in the calculations, just for the record, because we seem to have a little bit of disagreement.
Yes. So I have a slide here that demonstrates how we came up with our analysis. So first, the total 200-foot buffer area is determined, which is that outer red line. And that total area is 485,022 square feet. The subject property, which is the large gray rectangle, is subtracted from this area, leaving 396,467 square feet. So this is what we call the notification area. The written opposition of property owners is then calculated by the amount of land area within the notification area. So that's everything in red. The area of the property that sent written opposition in is 69,671 square feet. We then divide that area by the notification area to get the percentage written opposition. And that's how we came up with 69,671 divided by 396,467 came to 17.6%, which is below the 20% threshold.
Thank you.
Councilor Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have a question. So obviously our speakers who came up and spoke today, as part of their presentation, they said that they got 20%. I would be curious if you would entertain someone coming up that has come up and spoken before to provide comments, the ability to maybe let us understand how they got to their 20%, because I just want to make sure that I'm respectful to the residents and make sure that we're fully transparent and understanding what all this process is. So, with your permission.
Is there by chance anybody that has the calculation? One person can approach you. Name and address one more time, please.
Not showing the protest. The first home right off of the Arbor Manors Drive, it's one of the best friends. They have protested it. So I don't know why that's not shown. The Monica's home, I think she's already left. The home that is right behind the CC's, the pizza place, 400, they have also protested it. Okay. In terms of the calculation, there are two ways, the calculation is done. And if you want, I can read the statutory methods. But our calculation says that the subject area is 2.03 acres. And the area of Arbor Manors lot, totally is around 6 acres of Arbor Manor residential area lot, plus 4 acres of the commercial frontage of Woodside plus Verizon within 200 feet. And 20% of the 12 acres is 2.4 acres. That is ours. That is how we meet the threshold, with 10 out of 11 protests were opposition. So that is not calculated. The one who said yes is the builder, which is very but obvious. But 10 out of 10 within 200 said no. And those two homes are missing.
Thank you
And
very much.
This is not the first time the mistake has done. Even last time, the numbers which were shared with us, I did call out during my speaking time, the number of addresses they were contacted and number of addresses were shown. There's a discrepancy. So, we have met 20% threshold. Thank you.
Mayor Pro
Thank
Tem.
you very much. Yes.
If I may. Mary, I'll ask her, or staff in general. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Do we have a record of those homes that our speaker just indicated? Do we have them as in opposition?
So all of the homes that we received written requests from are outlined on the map.
Do we take into account if somebody comes up and speak against, or is it required to have a written request?
A written opposition.
Okay, I just want to make sure that is understood.
And just so when you look at that map there, like some of the houses on the south side of Wild Plum, it's everything within the line. So the houses on the south side, it's that front portion of their lot. You don't count the entire lot. It's just the front portion.
Other questions? Councilor Prem Kumar?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to address anyone from the HOA, a representative. Is anyone willing to step up to the mic, please?
Sure, Dan Robichaud, 143 Juniper Court.
Thank you. I want to make sure that you understand. So if we deny the applicant's request today, does the HOA understand that the site owner can file a permit with the PD as it's currently defined? So there could be a commercial development that happens there with the parking behind. I mean, obviously, it has to go through the fire department's rules. Do you understand that we don't have the authority to deny them, the site owner?
Yeah, you're living with the sins of the past, right? So someone approved it back then, so we either go forward with what was approved back then, or we have the option to go with the lesser devil now, right? So I believe we're fully aware of that. It could be someone bringing something much worse. I would love to have a Chick-fil-A there, but I think the residents probably wouldn't like that, right? But I think we're aware of that, and I think Tyler said it very well. It's not as attractive, so maybe they never build. So it's a gamble, right? We're taking a gamble. You're taking a gamble buying the house next to a zone commercial lot, which you never know is going to be built, but yeah, someone's going to have to take the gamble of wanting to come, cut down all those trees and face this again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? If not, I would entertain a motion. Counselor Hinojosa. Yes, I will call on you, Counselor Hinojosa Smith.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The last time we had, so first of all, thank y'all for being here. I know it's extremely late, and I know that this has been a lot of time, energy for everybody. And I will say, I think probably up until the motion is made, I will make a final decision. But the last time, kind of like Councilmember Walker, and he's not here, so I can't speak for him, but what I heard was the same thing he heard, which was I wasn't hearing no. I was hearing yes, but, and there's some room for collaboration. And what we were asking the developer was, please have that conversation, because what we have found in Coppell is that when you have those conversations and you're collaborative, it's a win-win for everybody. And so, I will say I'm a little surprised by some of where we are tonight, because it seems divided, and I was hoping we were going to be in a different place. And I'll just say thank you for having those conversations. Thank you for the presentation. It was really helpful to see, I'm a very visual person, to understand where the concerns were and where everyone's willing to give and not give, and where the residents, what you're looking for and what you need. And I will just say that I guess I was hoping we were landing in a different place. The fact is, even when I moved to Coppell many years ago, there was a lot more green space. But we are a developing community, and we have been, and there's very few empty lots. And we've known that. It's part of our master plan. It's part of our conversations on a regular basis of how that fits into our comprehensive plan, our 2030 vision, and our 2040 vision of what we do, what's the best and highest use of these different parcels of land. And then there's areas that also have been zoned for many years, and and that's known. And the reality is that it's what happens in communities where you continue to evolve and grow. And while I know that for many people that I've talked to that have lived here for years, they still wish we had areas where it was green and trees, and I think if there was a time we had pigs, and we used to have a pig festival. I wasn't here for those times, but things change, and please know that we hear you. My daughter drives up and down that street on a daily basis to go to school, and the fact though is, whether she's driving down Sandy Lake or she's driving down Denton Tap or she's driving down other areas, our community has just grown and evolved, and there's just traffic is everywhere, right? And anyway, I just wanted to make some comments to say we hear you. I appreciate the conversations, and I know that we need to make a motion, and so I will stop talking other than to say thank you. And I was hoping that what was coming forward today was more of a win-win collaborative. We're ready to move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hill.
Yeah, I just want to add that the owner of the commercial property has the right to develop that land. He's got a concept site plan that's been approved. On the other hand, all these homeowners bought those pieces of property knowing that that was in existence, and at some point there could be commercial development, and that, a beautiful stand of trees would go away. So I see both sides, and so it's difficult, but I just I'm not going to be able to support the current proposal.
Thank you.
Just because they have their right to oppose a change to the original PD. Now, they may not be happy with what they get, but that's the decision that they're pushing for.
Thank you. Councilor Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to add to what Councilmember Hill and Hinojosa Smith said. If this is what you want, because the restaurant was not part of the original PD, I can align with you and say no. But I want you to be aware that if the site owner comes back with the original PD with the parking lot in the back, we don't have an option but to approve that. So you are going to trade the risks, and it's your choice. So please be warned. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Well, I'll make the motion. I will move to close the public hearing and move to approve item number 12 with conditions. Councilor Neville second it. Discussion from council. Councilor Neville's.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm not going to lie, this one is a tough one. I respect the rights of the, I know you're the developer and the property owner. I know you guys are, looking to make that transaction to make that happen. So, it is a commercial property. It is ready to be developed. They're starting to get that appetite a little bit, but I also understand the residents, and I'm very conflicted, but I'll be very honest. I think that what our the current proposal in front of us is an upgrade to the original PD. And so what I wanted to come out of that original meeting, that we had 2 weeks ago, was that there would be conversation and discussion and compromise where we could compromise. And what I see is that there was a conversation had, and there have been some compromises, but I know it's never going to be perfect. And it's incredibly difficult. But, understanding that Sandy Lake and Denton Tap corridor, that is a commercial development or a commercial area. And I think we do have a responsibility to make sure that it is developed responsibly and to modern standards and modern times and stuff. So I do also want to comment that I don't believe that this is going to be the last that we're going to talk about this area, in the sense that the residents are bringing up real concerns with the traffic. And I don't want you to think that will just go away tonight. You have the council's ear, in my opinion, at least you have this council member's ear, and the fact that I told you guys last meeting, my place of business is right around the corner from that neighborhood, and I've driven through your neighborhood, and I know, I've seen that, and I understand what you guys are dealing with and trying to get out of that intersection. So maybe I'm part of the problem because I drove through the neighborhood, so I'm sorry about that. But I want you to understand that, my proximity to that area on a daily basis, I understand, what you're saying, and I want to try to come up with a solution that'll work well, that is unrelated to this zoning case. So, and look, I definitely understand what you're saying about the increased traffic counts and things like that, but I heard everyone say it's already a problem, like, just to be very honest. So I want you guys to understand that while still acknowledging the traffic issues that we're seeing, I hear you and I see you, but that is, you might argue with me on this, but it is separate from the zoning in the sense that it's still going to be an issue with traffic, and I acknowledge that. So I will tell you, I do plan on supporting this proposal, but the work does not stop tonight to make sure that Arbor Manors is safer for the residents. So I hope that you can understand my position on that. And, I would say that if you have an issue with rodents or things like that, and you don't feel like you're getting a proper response from council, there's a city manager's email, sorry, Mike, a city manager's email, and there are 8 elected officials up here that will work hard to make sure that you are heard and seen. So I just offer that to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll echo Councilmember Neville's in the sense that, please know we hear you. We do. We hear you. So the reality is, you're right, whether it's rodents or traffic, right? We know that this will not be the last time that this will be heard. There's been enough of developments in this community and enough developers, and there are developers that are willing to work with the neighborhoods, and there are developers who are not. And I think to the point of, this is an upgrade, there are some concessions. There has been communication, and I worry that if it's not this, it's something else that's not going to be better. And so just know that this is, again, it's not the last time that we'll hear from this. And if there's, as Councilmember Neville said, if there are issues or concerns, whether it's traffic or rodents or anything else, which, by the way, there are Coppell rats everywhere. But all that to say is, we're here, and we will figure out how to address that. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. Councilor Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I started this discussion today by asking the attorney about the approval. If we deny today, the owner or the developer has the rights to come back tomorrow, pull the permit to build the originally approved plan. That still stands. So it is an enhancement from what the residents knew when they were buying the houses. I think it is a bigger issue now with the traffic, with the 14,000 proposed square feet. So at this time, with this enhancement, I am not in approval of this proposed plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So there is a motion and a second on the table, correct?
That's correct.
Are on the floor, correct? I would like to propose an amendment.
Okay.
And I forgot to bring this up earlier. I wanted to propose that there be an amendment about trash pickup times. And I would like to propose that trash pickup times be limited to the hours of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on this development.
So that would be adding a condition. Right, so amend the current motion to add a condition of trash pickup only between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Is that
Thank you.
correct? So that's the motion on the table. Is there a second?
It died. It died.
It died? Yeah, but there's no second. No second.
Oh, I can bring it back to life. CPR.
You-
I would like to repropose my amendment.
Seconded by Hinojosa Smith. Discussion on this amendment. Councilor Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Bob, clarification, when we propose this amendment for this particular site, does that create a precedent for where other subdivisions can request the same?
It's possible. With the proximity of and the issue of the complaints of other restaurant-like uses in the vicinity, because that is going to probably drive the trash pickups. If you have a restaurant, they have to be picked up more often if there's protrusible food waste. And so each piece of property is different, each circumstance different, so I don't think it creates a legal precedent.
Councilor Nevels.
I wanted to ask the developer if the hours that I propose, would that be doable to coordinate with?
My instant reaction was, I don't know if I have control over that.
Oh, will you come up here?
Sorry.
It's a public issue.
Yeah, my instant reaction was, I don't know if I have control over that. Like I certainly can make best efforts to that, but I've never had control over trash.
Okay.
And so yeah, I think it's a good idea. I just don't know if I can guarantee that happens. But yeah, so I don't, good.
Republic has great customer service. I work with them in my business, so I believe in you.
Yeah. If the city council thinks in Coppell, this is different in every city.
Absolutely.
If it's possible here, then yes, we will abide by that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate what Councilmember Nevels is proposing. I understand that he's trying to find a problem to a solution. My concern, solution to a problem. It's late, guys. So my concern is if we do have a restaurant there and there's no trash pickup because most of the trash gets generated around 9 p.m. and you don't have anything picked up till 8 a.m., that length of window might actually promote more rodents breeding there. So that's one of my concerns. Just wanted to mention that.
One of the issues is I wouldn't want to have to get my trash truck in there during rush hour in the morning. And if you're at 8 a.m., you're at rush hour in the morning. I'm just saying.
Councilor Nevels.
I remember we did something similar with fuel deliveries over at the Kroger. So that's where I'm basing this off of on that. So, but it seems.
Yeah, it's the same concept, and it has worked there, but there's more latitude. A lot of times, I will be honest with you, the trash people like to come early in the morning because they don't want to be out in the heat during the day and all those kinds of things.
Well, I know they come up and pick up my trash right around the corner at about 11 a.m., so they can come on that route.
Councilor Matthew.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So I just want a clarification. The residential trash is picked up on Monday and Thursday, am I hearing that Republic is picking up trash from retail places every day?
It depends on the level of service.
Depends on their level of service, it depends on the use.
Okay, so we can
They'll pick up more
require,
often at a restaurant use or grocery store because there is a rodent issue by allowing food waste to be in those bins. So that's different than maybe someone that's just got paper or other materials.
so Republic is picking up trash from restaurants every day.
It depends, but it's more often than your trash.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions on the amendment? If not, I will call for a vote on, this is on the amendment to add a condition to the motion of trash pickup only between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. All, say again? Yes, sir. Okay, all in favor?
Hinojosa Smith, Nevels, Matthew, Hill, opposed. Carroll, Prem Kumar, motion carries.
Okay, so now back to the original motion. It is the original motion to approve item 12 with the conditions, but now adding the condition of trash pickup only between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Any more discussion? All right, if not, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Nevels, opposed. Prem Kumar, Matthew, Hill, motion fails.
Thank you very much. We will move to item 13 and get Mayor in here.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Yes. I think Bob was here. Mayor Pro Tem. Oh, never mind. You've been stripped of your power. Never mind. Did you see the vote?
Mm-mm.
That's what Bob said.
All right, continuing on, item number 13 is the city manager reports with project updates, future agendas, and direction from work session. Mr. Land.
Just a few items, Mayor and Council. Hunterwood Park bank stabilization, contractors continue to work on the bank stabilization. Bullock and Howe utility installations are complete. Contractors planning on starting pouring concrete, weather permitting. Arbor Brook drainage channel, contractors working on the sanitary sewer line installation. Royal Lane reconstruction, the contractor swapped traffic and has begun removing concrete on the southbound lanes. The service center interior finishes are underway. Looks like we'll be targeting sometime in mid-June to be open. And as far as the Justice Center is concerned, the metal roof deck has been installed and the concrete roof deck will be poured this week, weather permitting. That concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 14 is mayor and council reports on recent and upcoming events. As a reminder, the volunteer appreciation event will possibly be held this Thursday, April 30th at 6 p.m. at the Old Town Pavilion. This will be celebrating our volunteers community to the service to the community. The only caveat is it's very weather dependent, so stay tuned from announcements from the city. Old Town Party on the Lawn this Friday, May 1st, starting at 7 p.m. Please join us at the Old Town Party on the Lawn to enjoy an evening of great tunes and treat times. It'll be fun for the whole family, including a live band, Limefoot, food trucks, and the Main Street Interactive Fountain will be running. And that's for the kids. Weather dependent again. As this and the volunteer appreciation events or outdoors events, staffs will be watching the weather and will advise of necessary changes on the city website. And last item, voting. While there are no contested city council seats resulting in the city of Coppell's general election being canceled, there still is an election for the Coppell ISD. The polls will be open this Saturday, May 2nd, from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. If you have not voted, please do so. Item 15 are council committee reports concerning items of community involvement with no council action or deliberation permitted. Item A is a report on the Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD and Louisville ISD with Councilmember Hill.
Start off with Louisville ISD. There's been a change in time for the 26-27 school year. They're adding 10 minutes to the instructional day, going from 435 to 445 minutes, and switching middle school and high school start times. Visit lisd.net/hours for the exact times. Forbes recognition, Louisville ISD was named one of America's best employers for the best company culture, the only public school district in DFW to make the list. And the giving staff and community members a chance to highlight exceptional work by LISD staff. They have a program called Recognize Someone. So recognize a staff member by visiting lisd.net/recognize. And then we'll move on to CFB ISD. Enrollment is now open for all schools. River Chase Elementary in Coppell is a model STEM academy where students as early as pre-K engage in hands-on learning to solve real-world math problems through engineering, technology, science, and math while developing leadership skills through campus initiatives. If you'd like to enroll, go to enrollcfb.com. Congratulations to Ranchville High School students who were recently featured on several news stations for qualifying for the final stages of NASA Hunch competition in Houston this week. These talented Institute of Technology and Engineering students are presenting solutions to real-world NASA engineering challenges. So wish them all the best of luck. And with the last day of school right around the corner, summer learning will continue in CFB. River Chase is the district's only campus hosting YMCA summer day camp this year, running from the 26th of May to July 31st. You can go enroll at cfb.isd.edu/summer school. And finally, I'd like to wish CFB good luck this weekend as HEB announces the winners of its Excellence in Education Award. The district is one of just 5 large districts in the state vying for this prestigious recognition. Being named as a finalist is already a win for them, and as it reflects the district's strong educational offerings and commitment to supporting all students. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Item B and C are a report on the Coppell ISD and Coppell seniors by Councilmember Nevels.
Mayor, I'd ask to defer my reports to a later meeting as I am having difficulty accessing my notes. So I would apologize to the public and everyone for my lack of technological prowess tonight. So thank you.
We will rely on Ms. Thoden to add that into the next agenda. All right, thank you very much. Item 16 are public service announcements concerning items of community interest with no council action or deliberation permitted. Had a couple of items. We talked about neighbors helping neighbors earlier. This was our 5th annual event, and we, as I stated earlier, we did have 250 volunteers with 54 projects. Wonderful day, wonderful event, and turned out very well. We did dedicate the Sheehan Family Playground on Friday afternoon over off of MacArthur. Had a tremendous turnout for that. And the last item was one of our resident art companies, the Ballet Academy of Texas, celebrated their 25th anniversary on Saturday with a wonderful dance of Cinderella. I had no idea that they'd been in operation for 25 years, but they celebrated in grand style. So are there any other public service announcements? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to point out that Mayor Mays was awarded, I'm going to get the name wrong, but he was awarded the first recipient of, I believe it was called the Wes Mays Leadership Award. Is that correct?
Close enough.
Okay. From the Boy Scouts, from, I guess, the area Boy Scouts.
Circle 10 Council.
Circle 10 Council. So I was just going to say congratulations, and I did want to say that it shows how much Mayor Mays stays engaged in all the different communities in Coppell and how active he is, and how much he raises his hand to participate and to lead. So congratulations on getting be the first recipient of your own award.
Well, thank you very much. Now they just are looking for a place to hang it, so we're working on that. All right, thank you very much. Any other, Councilmember Nevels?
Thank you, Mayor. Just really fast, Mike, I actually want to give you a shout out and give a staff shout out. Just really quick, I received a message on a Sunday afternoon when no one is working, right? That there was a few residents had rented the pavilion at Old Town for a graduation party, and it's pretty windy this weekend. Not sure if you guys are aware, but they were having a lot of difficulties because they had set up a bunch of tables and stuff, and I wasn't sure who to reach out to, so I reached out to Jessica Carpenter, our director at Community Experiences, and she immediately messaged me back and she said, I will have somebody out there to take care of the issue, no problem. And I got just so much amazing feedback about the staff you've put together, the leadership that you have, the way that the staff came in and just saved the day. So I want you to know that the culture that is put in place and the people that we have in positions and the follow through and the care for residents is seen at every level. So I just wanted to give you and the staff a shout out. And I want to shout out, I didn't get his last name, but a gentleman named Steve who works in the maintenance department so he went out there, and the residents there said he was absolutely delightful and was just so willing to, so just wanted to let you know, I don't even know who it is, but just wanted to say that the staff is doing a great job. So, and I know that comes from the top down, so thank you for all you do.
Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Kiwanis of Coppell had a leadership series last week, Thursday, April 23rd, at the Coppell High School Library, where the key club members, around 9 of them attended. Councilmember Hill was there to share his thoughts on leadership. It was very well received by the students, and hopefully this might become an annual thing, and we hope to see other city council members attend if they can. Thank you.
All right. Any other public service announcements? Seeing none, on to number 17. We will need to recess from the regular session of the council and reconvene into executive session in the first floor conference room. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. The time is 12:10 p.m. or a.m. We have adjourned from executive session, and we're reconvening into the regular session of the Coppell City Council. Item number 17, there being no necessary action from the executive session, we are therefore adjourned at 12:11 a.m. on April 29th.